Betts has to step downfield. And he'll go for the assist as well. From one layout to another, the AlleyCats find a way to get it done.
High-powered point there.
Going for Havey. Havey's able to get there! On Betts dives and he got it! Oh my goodness, Nicholas Betts.
Betts has to step downfield. And he'll go for the assist as well. From one layout to another, the AlleyCats find a way to get it done.
High-powered point there.
Going for Havey. Havey's able to get there! On Betts dives and he got it! Oh my goodness, Nicholas Betts.
We're Carp Homes. Let us take the pain out of selling your home. We pay cash for your house as is. You don't touch a thing. Leave all repairs and cleanup to us. Homegrown right here in Indy. We're local and reputable, and we care about our city and neighbors. Our team comes to meet with you in person to evaluate your property, resulting in getting you the best possible offer. Call Carp Homes today or visit our website to learn more.
Welcome to Googman House, a locally owned, award-winning, and family-friendly microbrewery and coffee house located just northwest of downtown Indy. With over 20 delicious beers brewed on site, from hazy IPAs and fruited sours to the best-selling Guggenweizen and Hefeweizen and Riverside Hazy IPA. Pick your own flight of beers, order your grub from the cabin kitchen, and enjoy a day in the beer garden. We invite you to experience Googman House. Learn more at GoogmanHouseBrewing.com and follow along on Instagram at Googman House Brewing.
New players on the team this year. that's shaping probably something new. Like you didn't know what to expect with this chemistry. How are you feeling about that chemistry?
As far as chemistry, when you've got this much of a group that's unfamiliar with one another, you have to lean into what I would coin artificial chemistry. So traditional chemistry is, hey, you and I have known each other and played together for a decade. Artificial chemistry, I believe, can still be valuable, but that looks more like we are going to be fairly rigid at the beginning about our system and where we go and when I can expect you to be there, because that's going to breed confidence. If I know for sure where you're going to be, that breeds confidence in me, and that can generate what we call artificial chemistry. Hopefully what that builds is a natural chemistry, which can evolve from that. But we've got to lean into what we have right now, which is discipline and system, and hope that that kind of takes root and germinates some kind of real chemistry.
Maybe talk about natural grass over turf.
I personally love playing in natural grass over turf. When you lay out on natural grass, a lot of times you stand up feeling just fine. On turf, it feels like anytime I lay out, I'm picking up little nicky-knack injuries, whether it's a turf burn or a sprain or an ache or a bruise or something. So personally, I love natural grass, love the way it feels under the cleats. I think you can expect to see, especially at like a well-maintained field like Kuntz, you won't see any difference in performance that sometimes can be brought about by natural grass versus turf. I think that all you're gonna see is players more willing to lay out, players more willing to take chances on discs because they know there's a softer cushion when they land.
Disc in your life, like what was it attracted you to that piece of plastic?
Well, first I learned to throw at camp. I learned to throw at camp of Michigan. And then I started playing my freshman year at College of Charleston, and I think it was the people. My team name, it was the College of Charleston Bums. We're the Charleston Bums, and I just embodied that bum energy, you know? We were just goofy kids. We were just goofy kids having fun, and that really I came to a school where I didn't know a single person, found these Frisbee guys, and I was like, I think that these are gonna be my best friends. And then moved to Louisville and got involved with a club team, and I knew some of those guys played pro and didn't really know about it, and that's how I ended up meeting the AlleyCats through some Louisville folks that play, and yeah, found the team that way.
Did you know, like, man, I'm really good at this. I think I could go take the next level, like because club or against pro or because whatever. You know, when did that happen for you?
Yeah, I was never great at throwing to begin with. It was weird for me. Like I said, I played baseball, so switching the arm movement instead of up high going down to the side was a little weird. But I was a pretty good athlete in high school, and I had this big dude, the Serbian guy in high school, who had played in Serbia before he came to my high school. And he picked me freshman year. He was like, oh, I like this kid because I could catch. And he knew that when it came down to it, he could just send it out there, I'll go get it. And so that's when I was like, all right, pretty good. I became captain. I was like, all right, I want to do this in college. And then in college, I was like, I could maybe play pro here. I want to try to do it. And eventually made it happen. And so here we are, 4 years later now.
What's the difference between playing indoors, outdoors, and how does that affect the team?
Yeah, obviously weather will play a big factor between when it comes to outdoors versus indoors, but I'm excited for that for us, really. I think it gives our defense opportunity, obviously, to let the conditions play and shows the skilled offensive guys to make plays despite the weather. So I'm really excited for Kuntz, really. I've heard from the guys that have played there how exciting that place is, how it's close to a lot of our fans. I'm really hoping to have a packed house and a great energy at our games.
Why did you stay with Ultimate, though? Of all the other sports to play, why Ultimate?
Well, on my freshman year coming in, I knew how to throw. So a lot of the players that were rookies didn't have the forehand throw, and I was kind of good at it. I was kind of like good at Frisbee, and I was like, I've never been good at soccer, basketball, and was okay at lacrosse, and it was the first sport where I really actually enjoyed playing it so much and kind of succeeded at it, kind of played well, actually.
Can you talk about the offensive system a little bit?
Yeah. So, this year we're going to be, I think, much more of an aggressive style offense. We're going to be willing and looking to move the disc vertically downfield more. So you should expect to see some bigger shots and fast pace though. So we're going to be moving quickly, and I think it really plays well into the skill set of the guys that are on the team this year. So it'll highlight what we're good at.
Yeah.
and should make it fun for the fans too.
Wildcats. Why do you want to play pro?
Yeah. In the club season, as a member of leadership, a lot of my effort and energy goes into, mentoring young guys, developing strategies for the team as a whole. So my time with the AlleyCats, I get to lock in on me a little bit more, focus on my own development as a player, and it's just fun. I mean, like, playing in front of fans is not something that you get to do in club, so getting to do that is a big part of it as well.
What's the best part of your game?
I've always been a defensive player. I think, like I said, my speed, athleticism really helped me out with that stuff, and I'd really like to bring that onto the offensive side. I think that the same reasons I'm good at defense could be helpful on the offensive side, and I'm looking forward to improve my disc skills and really bring it up to the next level, because I think I could be pretty deadly on that side too.
We're Carp Homes. Let us take the pain out of selling your home. We pay cash for your house as is. You don't touch a thing. Leave all repairs and cleanup to us. Homegrown right here in Indy, we're local and reputable, and we care about our city and neighbors. Our team comes to meet with you in person to evaluate your property, resulting in getting you the best possible offer. Call Carp Homes today or visit our website to learn more.
Welcome to Googman House, a locally owned, award-winning, and family-friendly microbrewery and coffee house located just northwest of downtown Indy. With over 20 delicious beers brewed on site, from hazy IPAs and fruited sours to the best-selling Guggenweizen and Hefeweizen and Riverside Hazy IPA. Pick your own flight of beers, order your grub from the cabin kitchen, and enjoy a day in the beer garden. We invite you to experience Googman House. Learn more at GoogmanHouseBrewing.com and follow along on Instagram at Googman House Brewing.
Betch has a step downfield, and he'll go for the assist as well. Goodeman from one layout to another. The AlleyCats find a way to get it done.
High-powered point there.
AlleyCats back in front.
From his brother.
Going for Havey. Havey's able to get there. Betch dives, and he got it. Oh my goodness, Nicholas Betch. Could he have his man? Yes, he does. Good evening and welcome to Coots Stadium for another edition of Indianapolis AlleyCat Ultimate Action in Indianapolis. We're great to have you with us. Along with Kelsey Sparks, I'm John Herrick as the Detroit Mechanix get ready to take on the AlleyCats, both teams in search of their first win of the season. Kelsey, let's go ahead and start there. It's tough to be winless right now, but if you're both of these teams, what's got to be your mindset coming into tonight?
Well, both teams need that first win to set the tone for the season, and it's hard not to mention this being one of the most storied rivalries in UFA history. Both of these teams, founding teams from 2012. We've talked about the Detroit Mechanix, the loss streak that they broke last season, but there's another streak they're trying to break tonight. Detroit has only beat the AlleyCats once, and that was in 2012.
And who are some of their playmakers that stand out to you if you're Detroit and you want to make that happen?
I think we have to start with Joe Cubitt, the former All-Star, making his return to the field for the first time in 2 years. He's excited. He's ready to go. Joe is the franchise leader in assists and completions for the Mechanix, and so much of their offense is going to run through Cubitt.
And then for Indianapolis, who stands out to you there?
For Indianapolis, we have Seth Gudeman making large strides and stepping up into a leadership role this season. It's been a big storyline that the AlleyCats lost a lot of veterans over the offseason, so Seth has become that team leader down on the field. He is in his 4th season with the Cats. He leads the team this year with 7 goals, 3 blocks, and 943 total yards. He's the guy that the Cats are going to have to rely on as their backbone.
If you are Detroit, what do you think your keys are to victory?
Well, we got to talk to Coach Steep earlier. Coach Steep was the first vice president of the league back in 2012, so he's been here quite a long time. He said that his guys really need to adhere to the game plan. They have to show discipline as well as be high and tight on their defensive containment.
And for the Indianapolis Alley-Cats, what do they have to do if they're going to get their first win of the season?
Well, Coach Drew Shepard told us that he felt like his team just hurt themselves early in the other games, so no self-inflicted wounds today. They also have to control their shooters on offense, hit that first open look that they have, and trust the cutter to make the play.
And this is something we'll highlight throughout the game as the officials shake hands with the team captains getting ready for the first pull. You know, there's a lot of players, Kelsey, that have played for both Indianapolis and Detroit at different times since 2012, and that just adds to this rivalry.
It does, and we have even switches just from the last season. Carson Chamberlain, now an AlleyCat, was a longtime player on Detroit. Jack Havey used to play for Detroit as well.
And Rick Gross is getting his jersey retired. There's Frisbee, the AlleyCat mascot, and longtime member of the Indianapolis AlleyCats, Rick Gross, getting his jersey retired on the field right now. The owner of the AlleyCats, Derek Toe, doing that. So it's great to see these players get honored. A lot of that was done in the offseason, but they're also getting honored too in front of their the home fans. And this is kind of a changing of the guard here, Kelsey. A lot of these new AlleyCat players having to step up with the old ones retiring and trying to pay it forward.
Lots of gaps to fill, that's for sure. Large shoes, but I got to talk to Seth Gudeman last week, and he was saying that what he told the younger guys is, hey, once upon a time, Keenan Plew was the new guy on the team. Travis Carpenter was the new guy on the team, and they stepped up and made names for themselves, and Seth fully expects some of these young guys to have the same story.
Well, Coach Drew Shepard is trying to run a new offense this year, Kelsey. It's one of those things called that they're calling pace and space. It's kind of fitting that right down the road from here, the Indiana Pacers play their home game. They're going to have a home game here tomorrow against the New York Knicks. Their tempo and everything they do is about pace, but the AlleyCats also trying to push the pace.
Yeah, last year the AlleyCats O-line was a big story, trying to do more of a hex offense, a lot of dishy stuff, but this year, pace and space. So it's all about the tempo, and they are looking to stretch the field more. They aren't really relying on the usual roles of, let's say, 4 cutters downfield and 3 handlers. Instead, the offense is initiated by the off handlers instead of the handler with the disc, and they want everybody to feel comfortable flowing into both the cutter space and the handler space.
A lot of former AlleyCats in the crowd tonight. Levi Jacobs, and of course Travis Carpenter is now part of the AlleyCat ownership group, so he is here with his family, and they want the AlleyCats badly to get their first win of the season. The Detroit Mechanix trying to do the same thing. They are also 0-1. They are coached by Brent Steep, and the head coach for the AlleyCats is Drew Shepard.
I think we're going to have a close game tonight, John. I really do. Expect this one to be just decided by a couple scores, if I had to predict.
Mostly sunny and 72 degrees here at game time. So big change too. AlleyCats playing their home games at Coons Stadium outdoors instead of Grand Park in Westfield. And the first poll's been initiated. We are now underway, Detroit and Indianapolis. Both looking for win number 1 on the season. AlleyCats try to turn the pressure up. One thing they did in the first 2 matchups, they've given up an average of 29 goals so far in the first 2 games, but part of that was a 32-17 loss to the Minnesota Wind Chill, who look not just to be one of the best teams in the division this year, but also possibly one of the best teams in all of the league. Cubitt had it for a moment, and Mechanix moving downfield, nearly a knockaway there by Nicholas Betch. The throw intercepted, and the AlleyCats take advantage. And Betch gets it back, the man who got it for Indianapolis to force that, Ryan Wartenberg, in his first year with the green.
Betch leading the AlleyCats in assists for this year, and he spent quite a bit of time airborne in the Minnesota game as well. Look to see him throwing his body around quite a bit tonight.
Also, red zone has been a story in the first 2 games. The AlleyCats did convert 93% of their red zone chances against Pittsburgh, but just 67% against Minnesota. So they want to do a better job of that today. They almost gave it up, but Betch saves the day there, and a whistle. We might have a timeout called here by the AlleyCats, and we do. They want to make sure that they execute this break chance properly. So
first break chance of the game. I like that timeout call by Nick Betch, and Coach Drew Shepard look to see the AlleyCats O-line come out. AlleyCats O-line going to look a little bit different than it did last week. They are looking for the 7 most consistent guys. The O-line we're going to see tonight starting out are the 7 guys with the highest completion percentage, least amount of turnovers.
Ryan Wartenberg, you saw that. Another look at him. Just got that play, comes off, and now they put their O-line out. They got Joey Carey out there, Jake Wall. They've also put in Seth Gudeman, who we've talked about. Michael Ames is there as well, his 7th year with the AlleyCats. So far for him, 2 assists and 1 goal. He had 4 goals a season ago.
Ames is a player that the AlleyCats are really excited to have back. He hadn't played since 2021 before joining the team again this season, and he's going to add a lot of confidence in that handler space.
The Mechanix trying to match up here defensively and get ready as the AlleyCats are ready to put the disc in play again. As Gudeman able to throw it over to Wall. You can tell Detroit's put an emphasis on pressure. Jack Havey now has it. I thought Britt Steep, one of the things he said in the pregame to us that was rather interesting was, we have a game plan a lot of times and we don't get a chance to execute our game plan the way we should. Now they get a chance here as they get a break opportunity, forcing an AlleyCat turnover.
Captain Terry Gaither had similar things to say to me earlier when he was warming up. He said, you know, we come into so many games with a fantastic plan and we just don't execute. So they made themselves promise as a team today to stick to the plan. Nobody try to play hero ball.
Samuel Ingham was near the end zone but had to get it back out to Joshua Gabella. And the Mechanix reset to Aiden Rudy. Diving attempt made, and it was unsuccessful. So there's not a ton of wind right now, but both these teams are also trying to settle in a little bit. And up the field come the AlleyCats.
Can only imagine that nerves are high today. The winner of this game has a chance to compete in the division, and the loser, will fall even further in the power rankings.
Quinn Garner knocks that one away and gives the Mechanix yet another chance. And Garner in his 3rd year with Detroit, but Detroit unable to get it up the field without dropping it.
Sloppy point so far on both sides.
Lob up, and it's held on to by Carey. Looking for a call, and he got it. So AlleyCats get to move the disc to the center. Good to see Joey Carey out there, you know, Kelsey. He's battled through a lot to get on the field.
He has another longtime member of the AlleyCats, and they are really excited to have him back. That's another guy that's going to add a lot of stability to that handler space, which is a position the AlleyCats desperately need.
And he's able to get it across and find Goodeman, and our player that we featured before the game, fittingly, able to get in and get the AlleyCats on the board first.
Seth Goodeman just adding to his totals, came into the game with 7 goals, leading the team, tacks on number 8 for the season, and gives the AlleyCats the early lead.
And also, too, the points that set up by Joey Carey there, where he had helped initiate contact, brought it to the referee's attention, got the call, and that helped set that up for Indianapolis. And you made a great point, too, about the standings, Kelsey. I mean, if you're Indianapolis and you fall to 0-3, you're already last in the division, and you're third to last in the power rankings coming in, according to the UFA. Detroit, obviously, already 0-1. They don't want to fall to 0-2. But Indianapolis, having already played 2 games, a third loss here would really be devastating.
Starting the season with 3 losses would definitely be a tough start for the AlleyCats. Meanwhile, Detroit, with a win, could get to 500 for the first time since 2017 with a 1-1 record.
So the AlleyCats opt to go with the rolling pull and trap the Mechanix near the sideline, working pretty well to this point as Cubitt has to throw it back to the other side of the field. Mechanix want a contact call here, and they get it. I think their feet got tangled up, and referee thought it was a foul on the Cats, so Mechanix get to keep possession.
Yeah, I like that call. Not intentional from Heiser by any means, but absolutely impacted the ability for the receiver to catch the disc there.
Justin Perticone has it, shadowed by Jack Galley. AlleyCats were really trying to up the pressure on defense. Brendan Gessner leaves it for Connor Concannon. They call him CC because, according to Coach Brett Steep, his name is just a lot.
Too much to say quickly when you're calling for a disc downfield.
Right. Cubitt circles it back to Jake Felton. Felton with 3 assists, 19 goals, and 66 assists last year. And the AlleyCat defense comes up big again. They turn the Mechanix away and get the disc back.
Another break chance for Indianapolis. Chance to go up 2-0 off that D from Nick Pappas. Super excited that the AlleyCats picked him up from Chicago.
6'1", 168 pounds, 4 assists, 3 goals so far this year, and comes up with a big defensive knockaway there. Kaiden Young able to get rid of it to Galley. AlleyCats try to move up quickly, but Detroit bringing that pressure up. Pappas again. What they want to do here offensively for the AlleyCats, they want to really push the pace, play less in a small box. That was something that the coaching staff really mentioned a lot coming in. Heiser wheeling it back to Tanner Graham. AlleyCats try to execute their red zone opportunity, and they do just that. Nicely caught by Matthew Weaver. And the AlleyCats take a 2-0 advantage.
Both scores come on break opportunities as well. So AlleyCats really jumping off with some great momentum to start the game. You can see the crowd is getting into it, all the flags, getting ready for race day tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Checkered flag, big theme for both the green and white and the black and white, of course. What a weekend it is in Indianapolis. For those of you watching on the UFA's website, in case you don't know, Indianapolis is like the epicenter of the sports world. You had the Indiana Fever game today. Pacers play tomorrow. Indianapolis 500 is tomorrow. And, of course, the AlleyCats are playing. I mean, it is just phenomenal.
So many sports happening right now in Speed City. Obviously hoping the Pacers can come away with the Eastern Conference Finals victory tomorrow.
And it works out great because their game's at 8 o'clock in the evening, and the Indianapolis 500 starts at 12:45. So you'll have plenty of time if you're in town to watch both and see both.
Pacers and Racers has been a slogan, but I heard one the other day I like better. It was beat the Knicks and kiss the bricks.
Yeah, I like that one too. There's Coach Brent Steep of the Detroit Mechanix trying to plead his case to get his team to turn things around here. And I would imagine that part of what he is telling them is what he told us in the pregame about adhering to the game plan, playing with discipline. And one thing he did mention a lot, he used the word engagement a lot in our conversation with Kelsey and I, folks. He said, if you're not 100% engaged in whatever your role is that we need you to do, we are not going to have you on the field. We're going to get somebody else out there who is going to be engaged and is going to do what we need them to do.
And that role, that phrase role, is so important to the Mechanix right now. Captain Terry Gaither was telling me earlier that they've just struggled in the past with too many guys wanting to be the hero and stepping outside of the game plan to try to do something great instead of sticking to the script. He said we always come into games with a fantastic game plan, but we often stray from it. So coach and captain both really focused on sticking to the game plan today.
AlleyCats about to do the pull. The man who does that is Joel Close in his third year. Has 1 block so far in 2025. He had 6 goals last season. Mechanix trying to settle into a groove here. We've got Malachi Neal with it, 3 assists and 1 block for him. He had 5 goals last season. Diving attempt made to get it by Justin Perticone. AlleyCat defense putting up the pressure. Oh, that was nearly taken away by Jason Kempe. We've seen Kempe make a lot of plays like that where he uses that height and speed to go up after it. Lost his hat in the process. He'll get that back eventually. Perticone, a high arching pass, but Connor Concannon, CC, able to come down and get it. Mechanix trying to execute in the red zone.
AlleyCats looking to play really tight defense here. Coach Shepard told us before the game he really wants them to focus on being able to put a hand on the person they're defending at all times.
And Ryan Wartenberg almost got there, but just couldn't quite get it. He had a knockaway earlier, but this time Jake Felton is able to come up and get the Mechanix on the board.
A much needed hold there from the Mechanix, getting that score when they started on 0. Jake Felton is another player that we'll be seeing quite a lot of tonight. He leads the team with assists and total yards coming into this evening.
And that has got to feel good if you're Brent Steep. I mean, he emphasized things on that sideline. You can tell he was really coaching these guys up before the game. Focus was a huge part of it, and he could not have liked the 2-0 start. And for him to talk to them and come back and get that score, that has to be great for their momentum.
Definitely much needed to stop the bleeding, get that hold. Now Detroit hoping to claw back a break of their own.
Aiden Rudy will be conducting the pull for the Mechanix. He has 1 goal, 1 assist, 1 block so far. This is his 2nd year with Detroit. He had 6 goals a season ago. And back comes the AlleyCats. In these matchups, again, as Kelsey highlighted in the pregame, they have not beaten Indy since 2012. Part of the reason that that's happened is because the Cats will jump out a lot of times to a pretty insurmountable lead. And puck try here for Carey. He's able to get it downfield. And Carson Chamberlain comes up with a big goal, his 3rd of the season. And fittingly enough, that gets the AlleyCats their 3rd point of the game.
Carson Chamberlain putting up the score against his former team, the Mechanix. And the crowd is hyped up, John. AlleyCats made that 0 point look easy. Fantastic find there from Joey Carey.
And to go along with what else I was telling you about too, when Indianapolis has jumped out early on the Mechanix in these games over the years, it's been on plays like that, where they get deep passes down the field, and the Mechanix are just a step slow defensively. They can't quite get there. And with 5:04 left in the first quarter, they now trail by 2 again.
You know, notably this year, while we're highlighting those deep throws and high energy plays, the league shifted the design of the Frisbee a little bit this year. So the rim on it is a little bit sharper. Middle of the disc is looser, more hollow feeling. I don't know how to describe it, but supposed to fly farther and hold its edge better in wind. But worth noting that it feels a lot different in your hand. So for some of these guys that are playing college ultimate as well, or even just rec and pickup, this disc feels a lot different.
So AlleyCats opted to go with the rolling pull. Jake Felton was trapped near the corner to start it, but the Mechanix get up the field quickly, and they score quickly. That did not take long at all. And when you are ahead, the one thing you don't want to do is give up a quick score. That's what the AlleyCats did, and David Cox, in his first year with the Mechanix, able to get that one in.
Looks like a big defensive breakdown there for Indy. David Cox coming in leading the Mechanix with goals for the season. Brings his total up to 4 in just his second game, so making his impact felt early on.
He's also got a few blocks and a couple of assists, so as some of these guys have left the Mechanix to go elsewhere, some to Indianapolis, they've had to get some new players. So that's got to be one thing that Coach Brent Steep enjoys, seeing a guy like David Cox flourish. So the Mechanix have been able to match the AlleyCats point for point the last couple of minutes, as Rudy with the pull again. Do you think the short pull the AlleyCats had on that last one, Kelsey, had something to do with that quick score?
I do. You know, the short pulls and the rolly pulls are getting more and more popular in the league. Really lets you, establish a double team early, but AlleyCats had a bit of a breakdown downfield, so Mechanix took advantage.
Seth Goodman's really come a long way. He had 26 goals and 10 blocks last season. I remember his first season with the AlleyCats, and I think he learned a lot under Carpenter and Cam Brock and Rick Gross and some of the other guys. Now, he's probably one of the big leaders on this team. That throw might have been underthrown a bit. Goodman tried to get there. He's trying to say that his space or his progress was impeded. The officials don't see it that way. Break opportunity here for Detroit.
Detroit badly needs to get a break of their own. AlleyCats still up 2 breaks.
So Goodman, of course, putting on some pressure here on Adam Witten. This is an opportunity, if you're Indianapolis, maybe try to force a Callahan.
I wouldn't mind a timeout call here from Coach Steep to put in the O-line.
Trevor Polisic-Balfour with a long throw down the field, and he just overthrew his intended target, trying to get it to Darren Dyer, who had 2 goals and 3 blocks in the first game of the season. Dyer has an opportunity at it, just out of his reach though, and now the Cats get it back.
Looking at this efficient O-line again for Indianapolis. Again, these are the 7 guys with the least turnovers.
And that disc just had too much on it.
And I might have jinxed them right there. There's a turnover. So break opportunity again for Detroit.
This game taken on a frenetic pace as Colin Beauregard tries to get down there. The disc goes out of play, and it's back to Indianapolis.
Detroit does not need to be greedy in those circumstances and go for the goal there. Should have taken a little bit more time to set up the offense. Again, maybe even timeout and put in that O-line, but that's what Captain Terry Gaither was telling us about some of the hero ball that kind of takes over the game plan sometimes. So Detroit needs to settle in just a little bit when they have those break opportunities.
It's the former mechanic, Carson Chamberlain, with the disc now. Able to get it center of the field to Goodman. Goodman floats it back to Ames. And this is what you'll typically see if both teams start to struggle to get it in and there's break chances. One team will just say, you know what, let's just be more methodical and slow it down a bit. That's what the AlleyCats are doing here. And Chamberlain able to thread the needle and find his man for the score. It is Joey Carey coming up big for Indianapolis, and he's done it all over the field tonight so far, Kelsey.
He has, and we have a reversal of the last O-line score for the AlleyCats. It was Carey to Chamberlain, and now Chamberlain gives him the favor right back.
And to Carey's credit, he has assists to Chamberlain and Goodeman. Remember, he threw the first score of the game to Goodeman, and now Carey gets on the receiving end this time. And the Detroit Mechanix now down to a 2-point deficit again. For those who don't know, Kelsey, a little bit about timeout strategy in the UFA, what's the best way to utilize your timeout so that you can optimize team efficiency?
In a close game like this, I personally like a timeout call when you have a break opportunity. So take your D-line off the field, put your O-line on. They're expected to score. Get some players that have a little bit more confidence in that offensive situation. So there are a plethora of ways you can use timeouts, but in a close one like this, I personally like it for the line switch.
Justin Perticone. And again, the AlleyCats with the defensive stand.
Joel Close coming in like Superman, and the AlleyCats have another break opportunity.
Trey Dines with it. Dines throws, caught, score, Indianapolis as they continue to build upon their lead, and this time it's Joel Close.
Bookends for Mr. Close there as he got the defensive stop and the goal. And the AlleyCats made quick work of that break opportunity, up 3 breaks now on the game in that first quarter.
So that's got to be something that feels great for also Trey Dines to get that assist right there, 45 on your screen. Trey's been battling injuries. A few years ago, Trey had torn his ACL on a play at Grand Park and had to miss the rest of the season. And Kelsey, one time when you couldn't broadcast the game with me, Trey filled in. And Trey got to show the Ultimate community how much he knows about the game. He's rehabbed that knee. He's worked very hard to come back. And you know the AlleyCats are glad to certainly have him back.
Absolutely. He may have a future in the booth, but I'm sure he wants to extend his playing career and is happy to be back out there. It's his first season on the field since 2022, and it's good to see him healthy.
Perticone and Cubitt on the backside, trying to set up the Mechanix offense. Brendan Gessner now getting it. This is his 3rd year with Detroit, by the way. Gessner, he had 29 goals a season ago. Gessner with it again. Coming around to Cubitt. High arching grab by Trey Cox. Mechanix look a lot more in sync on this offensive drive down the field, and they pay it off with a score. I mean, everything was just pass, catch. Everything looked very solid there, and Terry Gaither gets the goal.
That was the most fluid offensive possession I think we've seen this far from Detroit. Captain coming down with the score there.
What do you think makes Terry Gaither such an efficient team captain for the Mechanix, Kelsey?
Well, him as a player, he is one of the most athletic guys on the field, and he puts in a lot of work to be that way, but he just has so much heart as a leader. He's so passionate about the sport in general, about this team, and he has a way of just elevating everybody around him.
AlleyCats have scored a lot of goals over the last few years in the last few seconds of quarters. So just because there are 7 seconds left in this first quarter, that does not mean that Indianapolis cannot get it across here. So let's see if they are able to do that. As the poll will be done once again by Detroit's Aiden Rudy.
Clock gonna start as soon as we get the touch from Indy.
Which isn't coming yet, and that actually helps Indianapolis that the disc went out of bounds, so they get to move it up.
Michael Ames gets to take this from the brick. Gets an extra 20 yards to work with, and he is easily capable of putting this disc in the end zone on one throw. Probably looking to reset to Seth, though, and there we go.
Seth, though, going for it all. Towards the end zone, leap for it, and it is taken away by the Mechanix. Nice leaping grab by Darren Dyer in his first year to come down with it and end the quarter. But Indianapolis on the high side with a 5-3 lead through one. We'll have the second quarter when we come back in a moment. You're watching UFA action.
It's a normal day until the unthinkable.
Oh no!
The water heater has sprung a massive leak. But you're not worried. You have a direct line to Walt Waterman. Step aside, folks. We got this.
Thanks, Walt.
It's what we do. For all levels of residential plumbing repairs and service, call or text Winters Plumbing. We're called Winters Plumbing, but we serve every season.
Throw like a pro with a new Pro Ultimate Frisbee. Created with input from the sport's premier passers, the Pro Frisbee is specially designed to fly through the wind and maintain its edge. Experience the official Frisbee of the UFA and get yours at shopufa.com today.
Well, one thing the Detroit Mechanix have got to be kicking themselves over right now. They're down 2 goals. They've had 7 turnovers. They do have 3 blocks, but on the red zone conversion percentage, just 2 out of 3 for them at 67%. And the AlleyCats are 3 out of 4 on their red zone opportunities. They've also completed 92% of their passes. Detroit, 89% of theirs. Those are a little bit of your first quarter stats. Thank you for watching us on Watch UFA TV. We appreciate that. Along with Kelsey Sparks, I'm John Herrick from Coots Stadium, downtown Indianapolis. A big rivalry game between the Detroit Mechanix and the Indianapolis AlleyCats. AlleyCats 0-2, Mechanix 0-1, and both these teams in bad need of a victory. And Kelsey, your impressions of the first quarter so far?
If I'm Coach Brent Steep, I'm telling my guys that we were doing ourselves a disservice in the first quarter. Those mistakes by Detroit are just things that they cost themselves, and I think they will be able to clean it up and turn it around going into quarter number 2. Still expecting a really close game here in Indy tonight.
AlleyCats talk about pace and space. What did you think of how they executed their offense?
There were a couple offensive points that looked very, very smooth. We talked to Coach Shepard, and he mentioned how the 7 guys on his O-line tonight are the 7 guys with the least amount of turnovers. Feels like they are the most efficient guys to have out there. Feels like they are the guys that are going to get the hold. I like this new pace and space offense from the AlleyCats. It allows them to stretch the field a lot more than they did last year. Last year they were playing in a box almost in that hex flowy offense, and this year lots more opportunity for the Cats.
Pull done by Aiden Rudy. As a couple of the Mechanix players get worked out on the sideline. The Mechanix do not have Ian McNamara and Cameron Talagani tonight, and AlleyCats could not quite execute that. Trying to dig it out of there was Jake Wall, but it was too low, and the Mechanix, well, they thought they had it in the end zone first. The referee said they did not. Now they do. So sometimes you can catch it and say you're across, but you're not. In this case, they go back and they're able to get it. And very quickly, the Mechanix get a point out of the gate, Kelsey, to get within 1.
Quick break to start the second there. That's exactly what the Mechanix needed. And we get the spike from Adam Witten. And he's asking his coach to roll the same line back. Wants to do it again.
Can you necessarily blame them after what they just did?
It was a pretty quick turnaround. I don't think that line's too gassed. AlleyCats just cost themselves on that low throw to the turf there.
That is what Drew Shepard talked to us about a lot, the head coach for the AlleyCats. No self-inflicted wounds. If we're gonna fall short, we want it to be because the other team beats us. And that's a big part of the reason why they're 0-2. He kept talking about we have to limit the self-inflicted wounds. That was not something you want to do. You have a 2-goal lead right out of the gate to start the second quarter, and then you give up a score. Rudy again with the pull. And Goodeman fires it up the field to Wall. Jake Wall with 2 goals and 1 assist so far this year.
And
Rudy chasing him all over the field.
And these reset cuts from Indianapolis are being initiated by the off-handlers.
Seth Goodeman lays out and makes an amazing catch. And they give him the score. Right when the AlleyCats needed a bounce back, they got it from Seth Goodeman.
Fantastic play by Goodeman there, laying out like Superman, adding to his goal total for the season. He leads the team. And that's why Seth was our player to watch for Indianapolis tonight.
His second goal of the evening, what a layout that was. And also now the AlleyCats 2 for 3 on huck tries. So they kind of wanted to make an emphasis of being smart with their passes, not take any unnecessary risks. Right there, Goodeman guarded by 2 guys pretty closely, able to break free and score though.
I like the stretching the field that we're seeing from the AlleyCats this year. We just mentioned it moments ago. This pace and space offense is performing well tonight. And the short pull, probably looking to double team here.
Yeah, I think the Mechanix are going. AlleyCats are trying to say, let's put some pressure on early. They've switched up the pulls. Sometimes they've gone with the longer one. But this time they opt to go with a short pull, but that also means that you're giving the Mechanix a short field with Colin Hill starting it off. Ends up in the hands of Connor Concannon. Threads the needle through the middle. Caught by Gessner to Cubitt. Mechanix trying to get it across, and they do. Leaping grab. Well done there by Detroit's David Cox and the contingent of Detroit fans that are in Indianapolis, loving every moment of that.
Let's talk also about the disc placement there from Joe Cubitt. Joe Cubitt putting it only where David Cox could get to it, despite some really tight defense from Joel Close. That's why Joe Cubitt is such a valuable member of this Mechanix squad. Again, the former All-Star, he's back for the first time in 2 years. He's their franchise leader in assists and completions, and he is the backbone of this offense.
How do you think he's impacted the game so far this evening?
I mean, just with plays like that are a fantastic example. Joe just brings so much accuracy and poise to the handler space, and there aren't many guys out there league-wide that can handle like Joe Cubitt.
Back we go to a 1-score advantage for Indianapolis. Ames threads the needle to Havey. Now Carey's got it. Stall count getting high on Carey, able to get rid of it. Goodeman chases it down.
Good poise there from Joey Carey to get rid of the disc and find a receiver downfield when he didn't like what he was seeing in the reset space.
Across the middle, Carey again. Joey Carey making all kinds of impacts tonight, and he gets another goal for the Cats.
We've called Joey Carey's name quite a bit this evening for good reason. He's having a fantastic game, and the AlleyCats are happy to have him back tonight as he missed the Minnesota game, and his absence was definitely felt.
Good to see him back. That was not an easy catch for him to make there. He had to really stretch out to go get it.
He did, and the AlleyCats stay up by 2, still up 2 breaks on the Mechanix. Now, there was some talk before the game, so both teams lost to Pittsburgh to start their seasons. Detroit falling 22-17, and the AlleyCats falling 25-21.
That's also big rivalry games for both these teams every time they play Pittsburgh.
The Central Division just seems to have rivalries everywhere you look.
Leaping grab to force the mistake for the Mechanix. And then on the other side, the goal for Indianapolis. Jack Gall goes flying to the end zone, backflips everywhere. Celebration for the Cats.
And the 1-score break for the AlleyCats on the back of the Superman layout from Cole Heiser.
Yeah, it's Heiser who comes up and makes a great play right there to steal the disc away.
Great poise there to be able to pop up and deliver a strike as well. Perfect throw, perfect execution, and a super fast break for the AlleyCats. Getting this crowd hyped up and the momentum swinging back their way. Up 3 breaks now.
It's like as soon as Heiser let go of the disc, he knew he was going to get his 6th assist of the season. That was a beautiful thing to watch. This is a guy who's got an opportunity here. Only had 1 goal last season. Again, was kind of buried deeper on the bench with some more experienced guys as the AlleyCats try the rolling pole again. But now Heiser getting more of an opportunity, and that was all about anticipation. You could see Heiser come flying up the grass to make that play. That was something else. And yet again, AlleyCats with that short pull trying to trap Detroit near the sideline. Jake Felton. He's trying to go for it all. Tough play on it. Did he come down? 2 guys have it at once. They say score for Detroit. It is Brendan Gessner who ends up taking it away from Nick Pappas.
Great job boxing out his defender there from Gessner. Gessner, one of the team leaders and somebody that the Mechanix rely on heavily. It's his 3rd year with Detroit. Had 29 goals last season.
Great sportsmanship between both of them.
In Ultimate, typically if you have 2 guys cash it at the same time, the tie goes to the offense. Although I do think Gessner got to it first regardless.
So as much as the anticipation and the knockaway worked out for Cole Heiser, it didn't quite work out that way for Pappas. But I got a feeling, Kelsey, we're going to be seeing a lot more plays like that.
They are both staying super tight on defense, that's for sure. Coach Shepard told us he wants everybody to be an arm's length away from the person that they're guarding because, well, that's the only way you can make plays like that.
Ball goes out of bounds. Michael Ames gets to initiate. Gets to come up to the brick. Detroit tries to match up. I can see Seth Goodeman trying to get open. Joey Carey certainly trying to look Goodeman's way. He's near the end zone. Opts to throw shorter to Chamberlain. Now Goodeman's got it. Back to Chamberlain, across to Seth. Can he get there? Yes, he can! Score Indianapolis once more. Seth Goodeman all over the field tonight as usual, and he is in for his 3rd score this evening.
I like the patience on that line from the AlleyCats as well. There were a couple moments where you could tell Joey wanted to shoot it deep, but great patience by the veteran. Great work by the O-line to take the shot that was open, not force anything, stick to the game plan, and it pays off.
And now the AlleyCats' other side of things, they were also, the emphasis that they kept making to us in the pregame, Kelsey, was about playing within their systems, both offensively and defensively, more fluid, less robotic, not having to wait as much, but also letting the game come to them and getting out on those Detroit shooters. And there's been a couple times where Detroit has gotten open and made some deep plays and some quick scores. Detroit's going to need a few more of those if they want to continue to close this gap. AlleyCats doing everything they can to try to limit it.
Specifically, Coach Shepard mentioned containing Felton, who puts it up there.
And then the grab. Exactly what you didn't want if you're Indianapolis. That's precisely what you wanted if you're Detroit. And that's Justin Perticone coming away with the goal there.
Quick work by that Detroit O-line, and Felton with the assist. Felton and Joe Cubitt were the two names that Coach Shepard mentioned that they have got to control in that handler space. Both guys are just so great at distributing the disc, and you see Felton's work pay off right there.
That's Justin Perticone's second goal of the season. He did have one goal in the loss to Detroit, in the loss to Pittsburgh for Detroit. Crowd really getting into it.
And there is Rick Gross's daughter, Peyton. Rick Gross, longtime AlleyCat, had his jersey retired before the game today.
His whole family's here. His dad would always, take a lot of shots, a lot of photography. He was a great photographer for the team. And he's here tonight watching. Rick Gross having a lot of fun, hoping his Cats can get their first win of the season, but not by doing stuff like that. Taken away by David Zoldan. Break chance for Detroit. Zoldan trying to go back to get it on the other side, lays out. He stays in bounds. AlleyCats trying to say he was out. Zoldan believes he's in. Goodeman's arguing it. And they say it's a score. I wondered if he got in because it looked like he was leaping out, and they are confirming it. It is a score, and Detroit is back within a point.
AlleyCats not happy about that call, and some of the frustration has to be coming from that turnover that happened so quickly. You can't have that. Mechanix take advantage and get the bookends there and claw back a break.
Turnovers have loomed large for both teams. Detroit has 8 of them, and Indianapolis has 7 of them. And even if that didn't count, it does count. That is one heck of an effort by Zoldan. And that's also, for him, his 3rd goal of the season, because he had 2 against Pittsburgh. There's some AlleyCat fans chanting, "Get another break," and that's exactly what they are going to need. But right now they're getting the disc back in the hopes of trying to score. AlleyCats scored first. They got up 1-0. They have led ever since. Detroit has been within 1 several times, but they have not been able to take the lead. Stall count getting high here for Chamberlain. Carey dishing it back to Chamberlain, the former Mechanic. Now up the field to Ben Close. Goodeman in space. Thought he might have Joey Carey for a second, but Carey got covered up. Wall flies to it, trying to get it to Carey. Carey scores, but what do we have? We might have a call against Indianapolis, and we do. Not quite sure what the call is.
Might be a pick call downfield. Okay. Nobody was close to Joey Carey, so I imagine that some guys got mixed up in the stack there. Cat's gonna walk it back.
And then did they initiate the play here before the referee gave them the all clear?
Struggling to get this disc put back in play.
Another violation on the Cats. They're forced to walk it back even more. So Jake Wall Fires it up to Havey. Close. Low throw, he can't get it to Chamberlain. And now Detroit's got a chance to tie it. And Aiden Rudy going deep. Referee's in the mix there. It's tipped up and somehow held on to by Darren Dyer. Dyer looking around. Detroit close to tying the game. Now they do tie the game.
Back-to-back breaks for Detroit, and couldn't have come at a better time. The captain, Terry Gaither, celebrating with his teammates, and we have a tie ball game.
It was 9-6, but break chances for Detroit. They've gotten goals from Perticone, David Zoldan, and now Terry Gaither. That throw by Rudy helped initiate things. Goodeman tried to get his leg on that. And now we are deadlocked at 9. The first time we have had a tie. The AlleyCats on their sideline are trying to get everything back in play.
And you hear the crowd chanting Terry Gaither. It's not often that an away player gets a chant like that, but Terry lives in Indianapolis and is so well loved in this community, has done so much to grow the sport, both in Indy and Detroit. You love to hear the positive affirmations for him.
Break percentage now for Detroit. They're 3 out of 9. The Cats 4 out of 10.
And we've got a different looking O-line here for the AlleyCats. Really need to settle in and play their game. Little mistakes have just been costing them this quarter.
Joel Close circles it back. AlleyCats feel like they're backpedaling a little bit. And wide open. He might get in, but now we got a call.
And there was a whistle in the backfield as Trey Dines got fouled off the disc. And that did not work out well for Indianapolis. Did not affect the play downfield, but they're still going to bring it back and not count the goal from close. So they get 10 yards, but that's nothing compared to a goal.
Right. Dines trying to get up the field. It looks like somebody's open back there.
Joel Close in the back on the break side. That's a tough throw, though.
Yep.
AlleyCats playing patient.
Kempe lays out. He can't get there. Jason Kempe was in the end zone, laid out, thought he might have a goal, and couldn't get it. So now we're tied. Jason Kemp, sorry. We are now tied at 9, and the Detroit Mechanix have a chance to take the lead.
And that's a really tough break if you're Indianapolis. I mean, had the goal there from Joel Close, and a whistle from the referee calls it back on a foul off the disc. I don't like that at all.
Neither does Drew Shepard, the head coach for the AlleyCats, who's in the background on the screen there. I mean, I just thought that was a good, solid double team.
And Mechanix with a break chance to take the lead. Coach Steep letting his D-line work it up the field.
And it's caught by Darren Dyer. There was contact on the catch. Cat fans wanted a foul. They don't get it. Instead, it's a Detroit score. Then Richard Ware, who had 5 goals last season, gets his first goal for Detroit this season.
And Richard Ware, Richie as he's known affectionately around town, puts the Mechanix up for the first time tonight.
Well, it looked really good for the AlleyCats, up 9-6. You get that great break opportunity from Cole Heiser, who threw a dime to Seth Goodeman, and you're up 3 goals. But since then, the Detroit Mechanix have flown back into this, and now they have the lead. I can't remember the last time the Mechanix have had a first half lead on the AlleyCats. But they do in this one.
It's been a long time, John, and we mentioned earlier, it's been 13 years since the Mechanix have beaten the AlleyCats. It was June 17th, 2012. So they're hoping to break that streak tonight, and they're well on their way, being up 1.
Drew Shepard, the head coach for Indianapolis, said his team's got to make sure they don't lose their composure. and limit the self-inflicted wounds. How do they regain their composure here? Detroit's playing with a lot of momentum. They're fired up, clearly turning up the defensive pressure. And there it is again, coming in to lodge it free. Trevor Polisic, ball 4. Rudy trying to get down the field. Catch made, but he's outside of it. Is Polisic, ball 4. Contact in the end zone. That's got to be on Detroit. I mean, he just ran over Jack Gall, just completely ran him over.
Darren Dyer has done a fantastic job winning battles in the air thus far tonight, has been playing super physical, and there just got away from him. Not a good play, so Detroit's going to back it up.
Now this is where the Detroit red zone offense will be a big story here. Their red zone conversion at one point was in the 30%. Now they're 6 of 8 on the game. The Cats are 5 out of 7 on their red zone conversion opportunities in this game. Referees talking this over. Again, this is supposed to be a non-contact sport, so whenever you see something like that where a guy practically, to use a Madden video game term, truck sticked, that's what it looked like. He just completely ran him over. I think they're trying to decide how far back to mark off the yardage here.
A flagrant foul was called.
That's
so
very unusual. I mean, they do exist, obviously, in UFA play, but they're very rare, as you know, Kelsey.
They are. Ultimate is a game, founded on sportsmanship, and with it being non-contact and players having the opportunity to even call fouls on themselves, you don't typically see anything too flagrant.
Dyer trying to get it, and he does. Boy, I saw Goodeman go up for it. Maybe he might have a deflection, but Darren Dyer takes it away.
Darren Dyer been winning a lot of battles in the air tonight, and they get another break. Detroit, 4 back-to-back breaks.
And 5 goals in a row. Timeout, AlleyCats.
And you have to take that timeout if you're Coach Drew Shepard. The AlleyCats need to reset here. Just have had a lot of silly throwaways, turfed discs, mistakes that they have cost themselves possessions on. So I like the timeout call to reset here.
And much needed. A lot of times last year, Kelsey, the AlleyCats wouldn't even have double-digit turnovers for an entire game. And tonight, they've already got 10, and we still have 2 minutes and 49 seconds to play in the second quarter. Detroit has 5 blocks to the AlleyCats 3. O-line conversion for Detroit is at 6 out of 12 for 50%. The AlleyCats only converting 5 out of 13 on the O-line, and that is not going to get it done. That's exactly what Coach Drew Shepard and the rest of his staff were talking about converting on the O-line, that they needed more conversions. They simply did not get enough of that against Minnesota, did not get enough of it against Pittsburgh, and with a 9-6 lead in this game, looked like they were getting it. But Detroit's taking the game over.
This is a team that's really struggling to find their identity on offense. We have seen some fantastic athletic plays on defense. I mean, that flying D from Cole Heiser, just to name one. I mean, the AlleyCats are an athletic team. I feel like they have an identity on defense, but offensively, it's just not there yet. So this pace and space offense, I think, is a great plan, but they have to stick to the plan. Make catches and throws. They need to find their identity on offense, and they need to find it soon.
Of course, our public address announcer trying to fire up the crowd. Frisbee, the AlleyCat mascot, trying to fire up the crowd too. Trying to re-energize this place. Long talk in that huddle with Drew Shepard. What do you think he was telling the guys there?
Well, you could tell that he was very impassioned when he was talking. I think he was telling them what he told us earlier, that they need to run their systems excellently. They can't keep hurting themselves like they have been. They need to make less mistakes on offense, clean it up, and play their game.
Why do you think Detroit, it feels like they're winning a lot of these 50-50 toss-up plays? Why do you think that's happening? Or do you think is there a reason for it?
Detroit just seems to have high energy right now. I mean, when you get 4 back-to-back breaks, they are fired up. So they just have that extra step right now to come in and make the plays. I mean, Coach Steep told us that he wants 100% engagement from his guys, and he wants them not to be lagging in the lanes on defense. They sure haven't been. Detroit putting together a great game today.
Aiden Rudy with the pull. So 5 straight points by the Mechanix after trailing 9-6. AlleyCats see if they can regain their composure after that timeout. Carson Chamberlain trying to go down and win the foot race. Almost had it. Leaped out, got one hand on it, but could not complete it. And Detroit gets the disc back yet again.
Yet another break opportunity for Detroit. Let's see if Coach Steep lets this D-line work.
That one might have been tipped. Goodeman gets to come down with it. Great defense by the AlleyCat double team there to force a deflection. So Indianapolis with it back. Carey's got it.
Cats need to punch this in.
Waning stages of the second quarter. Chamberlain to the end zone. And it is a much-needed goal for Seth Goodeman.
Seth Goodeman always seems to show up in those moments where the AlleyCats need a goal the most. They're relying heavily on one of their few veterans in Goodeman this year.
I would say when I first saw Goodeman play a few years ago, Kelsey, the way I would describe him is intense. And when you're down 2 goals, you've given up 5 in a row, you need some of that intensity to get back into your favor. And Goodeman brought that. I mean, that deflection they got off the double team was huge, but it was Goodeman who came down with the loose disc and then was able to pay it off on the other end.
Intense is a fantastic way to describe Seth. With everything he does it with intensity. Very physical player on the field and known to be intense with his trash talk as well.
We have seen him irritate many an opposing player.
It works out for him, and it works out for the Cats.
Mechanix working it up the field. Coming back to get it, Joe Cubitt. Cubitt's had a couple of nice assists tonight. Some really good throws. There was another one to Connor Concannon. And Concannon's pass is intercepted by Jason Kemp. Kemp gets it back. Trey Dines has it. AlleyCats with a chance to tie. And that one's deflected. Kemp claiming he's fouled. They don't call it though. So Concannon gave it away and he gets it right back. He's trying to go down and catch this one. Dines trying to catch up to him, and he does not. What an intense sequence there, and it all comes out with Detroit scoring to go back up on top by 2 goals.
Bookends there from CC as he makes the stop and scores the goal. AlleyCats upset, thinking that there was a missed call on that defensive play. Nevertheless, scoreboard shows a 2-point lead for Detroit.
AlleyCats led 5-3 at the end of the first quarter. They have been outscored in this second quarter now 9-5. 47 seconds remaining. AlleyCats going to get the disc back here. Detroit, they might be using a timeout, and they are. So Detroit calls for time. And I think this is exactly what Coach Brent Steep he's trying to make sure now that, this Detroit team has not had a lead a ton. It's no secret they broke their 81-game straight losing streak last year when they beat the Pittsburgh Thunderbirds 26-15. It was their only win of 2024. Now for them, for their franchise's perspective, it's all about finding a way to build on that. It's not just enough to break the streak. For them, they want to try to build a team that's a perennial winner. You win this game, you're, like you said earlier, Kelsey, you're 1-1, and being 500 this early in the season is something that Detroit has just simply not had in their favor for a long time.
Getting the win tonight to go 1-1 would put them at 500 for the first time since 2017. And hey, you gotta give hats off to Coach Brent Steep for rebuilding this program, breaking that streak. I mean, last year he had over 20 rookies, first-year UFA players, and they've really started to build something. They've built a culture where winning is expected, and they can smell their first victory against the AlleyCats since 2012 if they can keep playing the way they have been.
Turnovers continue to be a factor for both these teams, especially for the AlleyCats. They have 12. They had 7 in the first quarter. They have 5 more here in the second. Detroit with 5 turnovers in the first quarter, 5 more here in the second. But Detroit, with their break percentage, they're 42% at 5 of 12. The AlleyCats just 4 out of 11 on their break percentage chances. So it's Detroit turning the disc over less, and they are making the most of their opportunities more than Indianapolis. That sums it up as Aiden Rudy with the pull again. And the Cats have 47 seconds to work with before the end of the half.
AlleyCats have had to deal with a couple calls not going their way this quarter, but regardless, you have to have the mental fortitude to still get it done on offense when you have those opportunities.
Havey and Chamberlain playing catch. Goodman wide open. There we go. And the assist. Jake Wall gets credit for that, his second assist of the season, and it was a really well thrown disc at that to Seth Goodman. You hope he's okay as he gets up.
I think he was just celebrating down there, and for good reason. AlleyCats back within 1 and left themselves some time to potentially get a break here with 27 seconds to go.
That's got to be the mindset. Get the break, get the disc back quickly, and then score right before the end of the half. And, you know, to your point, Kelsey, there's no way the AlleyCats are in this game without Seth Goodman. Seth Goodman with 4 of his 5 goals here in the second quarter. So when the offense struggled and has had a hard time getting it across, it's been Goodman who's helped turn things around.
Detroit needs to find an answer for Goodman and find one quickly if they want to put the Cats out.
AlleyCats have gone with that rolling pull to try to pin the Mechanix near the sideline. This time they go with the deep pull. Colin Hill had it for a moment. Now Detroit's going to have to go up the field, and they do not execute. It was dropped by Felton, a little bit out of his reach. This might set up an AlleyCats score if they use it right, but that one was nearly dropped by Betch, and then he does drop it. He thinks he's fouled, no call, and Mechanix get it back. They might get a score out of this. Fight for the disc in the end zone, out of the reach of David Cox. And that does it for the first half, and what a frantic first half it was that saw a lot of knockaways and bat downs and turnovers and big plays on both sides. But it is the Detroit Mechanix who lead the Indianapolis AlleyCats here at Coot Stadium 12-11. We'll be back with your first half highlights in just a moment. It is UFA action, and we are proud to bring it to you here from Coot Stadium with Detroit on top, 12-11.
We're Carp Homes. Let us take the pain out of selling your home. We pay cash for your house as is. You don't touch a thing. Leave all repairs and cleanup to us. Homegrown right here in Indy. We're local and reputable, and we care about our city and neighbors. Our team comes to meet with you in person to evaluate your property, resulting in getting you the best possible offer. Call Carp Homes today or visit our website to learn more.
Welcome to Goodman House, a locally owned, award-winning, and family-friendly microbrewery and coffee house located just northwest of downtown Indy. With over 20 delicious beers brewed on site, from hazy IPAs and fruited sours to the best-selling Guggenweizen and Hefeweizen and Riverside Hazy IPA. Pick your own flight of beers, order your grub from the cabin kitchen, and enjoy a day in the beer garden. We invite you to experience Goodman House. Learn more at GugmanHouseBrewing.com and follow along on Instagram at GugmanHouseBrewing.
New players on the team this year. That's shaping probably something new. Like you didn't know what to expect with this chemistry. How are you feeling about that chemistry?
As far as chemistry, when you've got this much of a group that's unfamiliar with one another, you have to lean into what I would coin artificial chemistry. So traditional chemistry is, hey, you and I have known each other and played together for a decade. Artificial chemistry, I believe, can still be valuable, but that looks more like we are going to be fairly rigid at the beginning about our system and where we go and when I can expect you to be there, because that's going to breed confidence. If I know for sure where you're going to be, that breeds confidence in me, and that can generate what we call artificial chemistry. Hopefully what that builds is a natural chemistry, which can evolve from that. But we've got to lean into what we have right now, which is discipline and system, and hope that that kind of takes root and germinates some kind of real chemistry.
Maybe talk about natural grass over turf.
I personally love playing in natural grass over turf. When you lay out on natural grass, a lot of times you stand up feeling just fine. On turf, it feels like anytime I lay out, I'm picking up little nicky-knack injuries, whether it's a turf burn or a sprain or an ache or a bruise or something. So personally, I love natural grass, love the way it feels under the cleats. I think you can expect to see, especially at like a well-maintained field like Koontz, you won't see any difference in performance that sometimes can be brought about by natural grass versus turf. I think that all you're gonna see is players more willing to lay out, players more willing to take chances on discs because they know there's a softer cushion when they land.
Disc in your life, like what was it attracted you to that piece of plastic?
Well, first I learned to throw at camp. I learned to throw at camp of Michigan. And then I started playing my freshman year at College of Charleston, and I think it was the people. My team name, it was the College of Charleston Bums. We're the Charleston Bums, and I just embodied that bum energy, you know? We were just goofy kids. We were just goofy kids having fun, and that really I came to a school where I didn't know a single person, found these Frisbee guys, and I was like, I think that these are gonna be my best friends. And then moved to Louisville and got involved with a club team, and I knew some of those guys played pro and didn't really know about it, and that's how I ended up meeting the AlleyCats through some Louisville folks that play, and yeah, found the team that way.
Did you know, like, man, I'm really good at this. I think I could go take the next level and becomes club or against pro or because whatever. You know, when did that happen for you?
Yeah, I was never great at throwing to begin with. It was weird for me. Like I said, I played baseball, so switching the arm movement instead of up high going down to the side was a little weird. But I was a pretty good athlete in high school, and I had this big dude, the Serbian guy in high school, who had played in Serbia before he came to my high school. And he picked me freshman year. He was like, oh, I like this kid because I could catch. And he knew that when it came down to it, he could just send it out there, I'll go get it. And so that's when I was like, all right, pretty good. I became captain. I was like, all right, I want to do this in college. And then in college, I was like, I could maybe play pro here. I want to try to do it. And eventually made it happen. And so here we are, 4 years later now.
What's the difference between playing indoors, outdoors, and how does that affect the team?
Yeah, obviously weather will play a big factor between when it comes to outdoors versus indoors, but I'm excited for that for us, really. I think it gives our defense opportunity, obviously, to let the conditions play, and shows the skilled offensive guys to make plays despite the weather. So I'm really excited for Koontz, really. I've heard the from the guys that have played there, how exciting that place is, how it's close to a lot of our fans. I'm really hoping to have a packed house and a great energy at our games.
Why did you stay with Ultimate though? Of all the other sports to play, why Ultimate?
Well, on my freshman year coming in, I knew how to throw. So a lot of the players that were rookies didn't have the forehand throw, and I was kind of good at it. I was kind of like good at Frisbee, and I was like, you know, I've never been good at soccer or basketball, and was okay at lacrosse, and it was the first sport where I really actually enjoyed playing it so much and kind of succeeded at it, kind of played well actually.
Can you talk about the offensive system a little bit?
Yeah. So, you know, this year we're going to be, I think, much more of an aggressive style offense. We're going to be willing and looking to move the disc vertically downfield more. So you should expect to see some bigger shots and fast pace though. So we're going to be moving quickly, and I think it really plays well into the skill set of the guys that are on the team this year. So it'll highlight what we're good at, and should make it fun for the fans too.
Wildcats. Why do you want to play pro?
Yeah. In the club season, as a member of leadership, a lot of my effort and energy goes into, you know, mentoring young guys, developing strategies for the team as a whole. So my time with the AlleyCats, I get to lock in on me a little bit more, focus on my own development as a player, and it's just fun. I mean, like, playing in front of fans is not something that you get to do in club, so getting to do that is a big part of it as well.
What's the best part of your game?
I've always been a defensive player. I think, like I said, my speed, athleticism really helped me out with that stuff, and I'd really like to bring that onto the offensive side. I think that the same reasons I'm good at defense could be helpful on the offensive side, and you know, I'm looking forward to improve my disc skills and really bring it up to the next level, because I think I could be pretty deadly on that side too.
We're Carp Homes. Let us take the pain out of selling your home. We pay cash for your house as is. You don't touch a thing. Leave all repairs and cleanup to us. Homegrown right here in Indy, we're local and reputable, and we care about our city and neighbors. Our team comes to meet with you in person to evaluate your property, resulting in getting you the best possible offer. Call Carp Homes today or visit our website to learn more.
Welcome to Googman House, a locally owned, award-winning, and family-friendly microbrewery and coffee house located just northwest of downtown Indy. With over 20 delicious beers brewed on site, from hazy IPAs and fruited sours to the best-selling Guggenweizen and Hefeweizen and Riverside Hazy IPA. Pick your own flight of beers, order your grub from the cabin kitchen, and enjoy a day in the beer garden. We invite you to experience Googman House. Learn more at GoogmanHouseBrewing.com and follow along on Instagram at Googman House Brewing.
Back here at Kuntz Stadium, where the Detroit Mechanix have a 12-11 lead over the Indianapolis AlleyCats, along with Kelsey Sparks. I'm John Herrick, taking a look at the first half stats, Kelsey, and we were mentioning this a little bit in the first half. Turnovers a problem for Indianapolis, 13 of them. O-line conversion at exactly the same pace, but also too, you know, Detroit, whenever they come into Indianapolis over the years, they've struggled to convert long huck throws. But tonight at 5 of 10, they're converting those this evening off of those break chances.
And a big part of that stat is having Joe Cubitt back in the backfield with Jake Felton. Both guys done a masterful job handling for Detroit tonight. Meanwhile, on the other side, AlleyCats started pretty hot, but have really been shooting themselves in the foot over the last quarter.
And they were up 9-6, but then Detroit goes on a 5-0 run to take an 11-9 lead. AlleyCats were able to cut it back to within one right before halftime, but the Mechanix have some momentum on their side as we take a look at some of the first half highlights, and it looked like Indianapolis had this thing under control with a 5-3 lead in the first quarter, but back came the Mechanix. You see Seth Goodman here before rolling out, making a nice score, but the Mechanix have had several guys get involved in the action, both on defense and on offense. Jake Felton, David Cox, Terry Gaither all scored in the first quarter, but then in the second quarter, several different guys scoring, from David Zoldan to Gaither again, Richard Ware, Darren Dyer, a first-year player. I mean, the Mechanix just getting so many different guys involved. And on the other side, Kelsey, it's Seth Goodman. If he doesn't score all those goals in the second quarter, AlleyCats might not even be in this thing right now.
Detroit doing a fantastic job sticking to that game plan. I talked to Captain Terry Gaither earlier today, and he said that historically Detroit has had so many guys that just try to go for the big play, try to play hero ball, and that doesn't work out for them. And you can tell by the stats tonight, the Mechanix really playing team Frisbee, and it's working out for them.
About to start the second half in a couple of minutes. Individually, Seth Goodman with 5 goals. He does have a block. Also 2 with Gaither. He has 2 goals, and so does Cox. And Joey Carey. That's one thing that you got to like if you are the Cats, getting Joey Carey back. But there's also some other guys, too, that the Cats are missing. I'm not making excuses for Indianapolis, but it would be, nice to get a guy like Ben Landry back. I know he's battling a hamstring issue. So there are some other guys that the AlleyCats haven't been able to have back in action this year just yet. And in the coming weeks, even after tonight, I'm sure they are looking forward to getting those guys back in play.
Ben Landry especially is a big loss for the AlleyCats, who are, struggling to find enough handlers that they can rely on. Ben Landry being a guy that you can really rely on. We got to catch up with him earlier. Unfortunately, he is out for at least 2 more weeks as he battles back with this hamstring injury. He's hoping to return against Detroit 2 weeks from today, but remains to be seen with his treatment plan and all.
And one thing it is nice to have back, one guy that I think has made an impact has been Trey Dines. Seeing him out there for the AlleyCats, coming up with a block. He does have an assist. Looked like he got fouled on one play in particular, although they didn't see it that way. So what do you think if you are the Cats? What's your message here as you try to get things rolling again in the second half?
Well, it's no secret that the AlleyCats had a few calls that did not go their way in the first half. It seemed to really rattle the team, too. They started making uncharacteristic mistakes, kind of getting caught up in that emotion. So they really need to return to center themselves and play their game, control what they can control, and hit those passes.
And if you're the Detroit Mechanix, you got to love where you are. What do you do to try to keep up this onslaught?
Oh, the energy on the Detroit sideline has been palpable all day long. John, you mentioned when we got there and talked to Coach Brent Steep, he just felt more excited than he's ever been when he's come to Indianapolis. I think he was just aware that he's got a group of guys that can get the win tonight. So Detroit needs to keep capitalizing on their break opportunities. They've done a really good job with that, especially in the second quarter, as well as they just need to play solid, steady offense. You see Joe Cubitt waving his arms there.
Yep, helping take the lead offensively. That's typically what you see from a team that's coached well. You got the coach talking about things, and then the team leader on the field will step in and re-emphasize things, and that's what Cubitt is able to do, and him being back has made a big difference for them.
Detroit with the chance to go to 500 for the first time since 2017 if they can hold on to this lead in half number 2. And in doing so, they would beat the AlleyCats for the first time since June 17th, 2012. in what has been a storied rivalry between these two franchises for many, many years. It's been all Cats in the win column for a long time. Mechanix hoping to change that tonight.
Now, having said that, there's been games where it looked like Detroit would get it. They would come close. They had opportunities to win, but then the AlleyCats would find a way to always get the distance and the separation they needed to win these games. So we'll see how they do this time. The AlleyCats have to execute the pull, and they have to give it to Detroit to start the second half. They've done a lot of short pulls, but this time they're going with the deep one, trying to force the Mechanix to start deep in their own zone, which was well executed by Joel Close. Let's see if the AlleyCats can force a mistake. That's another thing Detroit's had an advantage in. They've had 7 blocks tonight to the Cats 5.
They've been capitalizing on them as of late as well.
Cubitt, he's trapped. Boy, the Mechanix really need to get it out of their own zone here, in possible danger of giving up a Callahan. Looking around. There's Cubitt again to come out of there with it, but he shadowed well. That disc looked like it got deflected before it ended up in Perdicone's hands. Cat defense helping set the tone. That's getting the crowd back into it a little bit. Now a long huck down the field. There's going to be a battle for it. Knocked away, but into the hands of Cubitt. Looked like the Cats might get the deflection, but Cubitt comes up with it.
Great heads-up play by Joe Cubitt to not give up, hustling for that disc. Pays off, and now the Mechanix move into the red zone,
where they have done pretty well tonight. Now Felton's got it, and they score. So right when you're the AlleyCats and you think you're going to give up, maybe possibly knock it away, instead they give up the goal, and it is Brendan Gessner with his second one of the night. Wow. And all on that deflection, Kelsey. That was where it looked like it might be the turning point. A Cat got his hand on it, but couldn't come down with it. And now the Detroit lead is back to 2.
AlleyCats really needed that break, and you're right, it seemed like they were going to get an opportunity after fantastic play from Joel Close, but Joe Cubitt did a great job playing heads up there, hustling to the disc. There's that deflection again from Close, and the heads-up play from Joe Cubitt. AlleyCats now bringing back the O-line, and this looks to be the O-line that they started with. The one that we shared is the most consistent 7, so let's see if they were able to recenter themselves at halftime.
Is there a lineup, Kelsey, that you think has worked better for them than others?
I like this play here. I like these 7. They just need to not play as emotionally as they did in the second quarter. Like we said, AlleyCats struggling to find their identity on offense, but I do think that this group gives them the best look at it.
Ben Close, looking around. Played catch with Havey, now he gets it back. You always see it when a team like Detroit gets a score, they tend to have a lot more energy on defense, and that throw by Close was out of the reach of Michael Ames. Break try for Detroit, throw down the field, and it is caught by Trevor Polisic Balfour, and then the Mechanix get it in for the score. And this time it is Darren Dyer.
We've seen a lot of Dyer tonight, and he's wide open for that break for Detroit as they extend their lead to 3, really capitalizing on the mistake by the AlleyCats. And those are the kind of mistakes that you have to clean up if you're Indianapolis. I mean, really unforced turnovers for all intents and purposes.
It just looked strange, that throw, right? I mean, it just looked like to Ames, Does it feel like that should have been a routine throw and it looked like it was just out of his reach?
On the reset throws there, you're trying to put it out to space and let your other handler run onto it. So I like the idea, but it was just a little too lasery. There wasn't much float on that disc. Ames did not have the opportunity to get there, so Ben Close definitely wants that throw back.
AlleyCats still looking for their first second half point. Have not gotten it. And ever since Detroit took the lead at 10-9, they have had it ever since. Indianapolis trying to change that. Betch playing catch with Jack Gall. Gall had he had what I thought would be possibly the game-turning goal off of a deflection. And great play by Cole Heiser, but Indianapolis was unable to keep the momentum going after that. Detroit got a quick score. Nicholas Betch again, leaving it for Kemp. AlleyCats trying to execute their red zone offense, and this time they do. That energizes the crowd a little bit as Jack Gall is in the end zone for the second time tonight, his third goal of the season.
And both of those goals have come at really timely moments, like you mentioned earlier. AlleyCats desperately needed that one. There are the checkered flags again. Now the AlleyCats need to orchestrate a break here.
Of course, that is the theme of the weekend. Pacers, Racers, Fever, Cats. The Indianapolis 500 coming up tomorrow. A lot of fans here waving checkered flags, wearing checkered outfits. Phenomenal night for Frisbee. Temperature at game time was 72 degrees. There's really not much of a wind to speak of, so there's not much in the way of elements impacting this game. But really, it's been Detroit's defense, their timely plays, their knockdowns, as this pull sails out of play. So the Mechanix are going to get to bring it up.
And a bit shorter field to work with here.
Hill dumps it off to David Cox, who initiates the offense. Mechanix waste no time getting down the field, and then they rushed it right when it looked like they had something going. The overthrow, and it looked like a miscommunication there on the back end. Break chance for Indy here, as Samuel Ingham comes back in for Indianapolis. Goodman calling for it. High throw, dangerous one at that. Goodman comes down with it. Play towards the end zone. High, a little bit too high for his intended target.
I liked the throw from Gudeman there. It looked like Kaiden Young just misread that disc in the end zone, hesitated a step too long, and now Detroit with the chance to hold again.
Kaiden Young with one of the more inexperienced players with Indy. First year, he already has 2 goals this year, almost had his third. What a throw downfield there to get it to Trey Cook, excuse me. Perticone to the other side with it. I mean, any time normally in the past where the Mechanix would have a mistake like what they just had, it was usually a quick score the other way for the AlleyCats, but that just has not been the case tonight. High arching throw, Perticone trying to chase it down, and he got it in bounds. AlleyCats now behind by 3 once again as Detroit keeps on pushing.
Not necessarily a pretty point by any means, a couple turns both ways, but Detroit finds a way to get it done and punch it in, keeping their lead of 3.
And normally, too, you've heard Kelsey talk about the hold percentage, and normally in these Mechanix AlleyCat matchups, it's been the AlleyCats who seem to hold better. But right now in this game, Detroit with a 57% holding percentage to Indy's 53%. Alley-Cat sideline trying to fire each other up. The guy really working hard at that is Ryan Wartenberg. Remember, Wartenberg had a big play in this game in the first quarter where he knocked down a Detroit Mechanic pass, and that helped lead to an Alley-Cat goal, helped lead to an Alley-Cat goal. He's trying to get these guys back into it. But now the Detroit Mechanics have the lead and the belief that they can get this done and possibly get their first win over the Alley-Cats in 13 years. High Archer, but it was grabbed by Ben Close. A lot of passes like that the Alley-Cats have had to just really work very hard to get. Chamberlain, a battle for it in the end zone, knocked away. And I'm sure that has to feel great for the Detroit Mechanics to turn away a goal from a former Detroit Mechanic in Chamberlain, and the guy that was there stride for stride with him was Colin Beauregard, who's in his 3rd year with Detroit. Of course, he gives us the Dikembe Mutombo finger wag. If you remember Dikembe Mutombo when he played in the NBA, that was his patented move whenever he would block a shot. This Mechanics team playing with a ton of swagger and confidence right now. Up the field, Rudy going for it all, but that one loses its strength, and Goodman was smiling at that as that one sailed out of bounds. So another break opportunity here for Indianapolis.
And Aiden Rudy knew as soon as it left his hands that that one was heading out of bounds. Indianapolis got lucky on that one. They really need this hold here.
This is where normally after a break they would find a way to score. But Detroit's turned up the defensive pressure every time. Chamberlain trying to get loose again, but that one was overthrown, and it leads to an easy knockaway for Trevor Polisic Balfour.
Alley-Cats really struggled to stretch the field on that possession. The stack was really close to the handlers for the end there. Did not do a good job creating any sort of separation.
And these Huck tries, normally those have gone the Mechanics' way tonight, but that was just out of the reach there. Out of the reach of Quinn Garner. And what do we have now? Boy, look at everybody. Hands on their knees. Everybody's just gassed right now. You want to talk about a game that's really impacting the endurance and stamina of both teams, and we are seeing that. I think it's impacting our referees too. They're probably like, my goodness.
Well, when you have so many turnovers, it ends up making points very long. I mean, we had a 3.5-minute point in the first half, and that is a really long time to be sprinting if you are one of these athletes on the field.
So Carey got to come off the field, and then Detroit got to make a substitution as well. Aiden Rudy departs. We have had 30 combined turnovers, 16 by the Alley-Cats, 14 by the Mechanics, and then this time, yet again, blocked down. Trevor Polisic Balfour with another big defensive play in this half.
And this marathon point continues with Detroit getting yet another break opportunity.
I think they saw how many times Seth Goodman, but then they give it right back. And Seth Goodman with 5 goals in the first half, 4 in the second quarter, but they turned him away there.
And these guys are just gassed. I mean, that mistake from Detroit that was an exhaustion mistake.
Goodman to the end zone, and finally the Cats are able to find their composure and get it across for the goal. It is Carson Chamberlain getting it done here.
Good work there by Chamberlain to keep his wits about him despite the long point, not let exhaustion overtake him. Him and Goodman, big workhorses on the Alley-Cats, found a way to get that done.
And I think even if you're Detroit, you've got to be grateful to just go over to your sideline and take a breather.
Yeah, nobody from the last point is remaining on the field for this next one. That's for sure. Full substitutions from each team, and the Alley-Cats desperately need a break here.
And This is the loudest the AlleyCat fans have been in a while. As the pull done by Joel Close. All the way to the end zone. Goes down, so the Mechanix get to bring it up from the brick. And again, if you're the Mechanix, every time that happens and you're the team ahead, you will take your sweet time bringing that up to the brick because the clock winds that entire time.
Yeah, no rush for Detroit here by any means. Don't need to force anything on this possession. Just be happy to run the clock down, make good movement.
Perticone to Kincannon, up the field, low throw, diving attempt made, and another Mechanix goal. This one in the hands of David Cox.
David Cox with his third tonight. He had 3 last week as well, leading the team. And he is another player that used to be an AlleyCat a few years ago.
And that was something that Kelsey and I talked about in the pregame. We've had a lot of guys that are on Detroit that played for Indianapolis. We got some guys on Indianapolis that played for Detroit. And that just adds to this rivalry between the two. And it's very seldom that we have seen Detroit this late in a game against the Cats have a lead. But they do here. Both these teams winless so far in 2025. Desperate to try to get win number 1. I would argue a loss hurts the AlleyCats more than it hurts Detroit because falling to 0-3 really puts you far down. And then if you're Detroit, if you're 0-2, you got a little more time to recuperate. But already 3 losses in 3 games, that's not something the AlleyCats are used to having in the month of May. But this is a new team, a lot of new guys, a new offense. And for Indianapolis, it's the pace and space offense that they're trying to find. But honestly, it's not always been the offense tonight that's been the problem. Sometimes it's been the defense too. Detroit Mechanic fans chanting for defense here. Let's see if they get it.
AlleyCats needing to establish some more rhythm.
Wall to Gudeman, might have been contact. Gudeman trying to plead his case, but to no avail. They say it's just a turnover and back to Detroit. So break chance for the Mechanics. Already up 3. Gudeman lays out and gets it across. That's a Callahan for the Indianapolis AlleyCats. Seth Gudeman never gave up. He was upset at the way the last play ended, but he leaps over and gets a Callahan for Indianapolis.
You don't see many Callahans in Ultimate. They're always extremely special when they come, and Seth Gudeman delivers one at the perfect time for his squad. Fantastic heads-up play by Gudeman after he doesn't get the score, maybe gets fouled, but there's no call, and then he comes back with the diving Callahan.
He's like, hey, I got fouled on the end of it too. Yeah, as you pleading his case there. So Gudeman, as we have said, has kept Indianapolis in these games, in this game all night.
6 goals for Seth tonight, the most by any player in this game.
And he has 351 receiving yards, 490 total yards, 2 blocks, and 1 assist, and a completion percentage of 85%. That is about as well-rounded of a stat line as you are ever going to see. And because the AlleyCats got the Callahan, they get to execute the pull from even further up than normal.
Good opportunity here for the AlleyCats to pin the Mechanics on that back line. They really need to make sure to take advantage of this pull. This pull needs to come in bounds. And instead of pinning them on the back line, they opt to set up the double team on the sideline, let everybody get set.
So Detroit's done a pretty good job of getting out of these double teams all night. But again, they've got the 2-point lead. They're going to take their time as the clock comes up. Felton trapped. Throw that's a little bit dangerous, but it does make its way to the other side to Connor Concannon. CC trying to get it across. Batted away! Samuel Ingham makes a huge play there. Tries to get free on the other side.
Much needed break chance for Indianapolis.
And then Detroit almost knocks it away, and then they do. It fell to the ground. It thought maybe Nick Pappas might be able to hold on, but Pappas could not get it, and now we got a Mechanic player hurt. And Justin Perticone is slow to get up. I don't know if he had the wind knocked out of him. His head coach, Brett Steep, goes out to take a look. Clock stops with 57 seconds. Wow. We have had these kind of plays all night, and then a dangerous thing there for Pappas. You saw his leg kind of bend backwards there. The turnover total mounting. 19 for the Cats and 17 for the Mechanics. Now the Mechanics are back in their own zone again. Trying to get out of it. They do to CC. Connor Concannon has doubled well. Matthew Weaver's trying to give him some trouble, and apparently Weaver got too close. Foul on the Cats. That moves the Mechanics up. 39 seconds left in this pivotal third quarter. Nearly a steal. Felton going to the end zone. Overshoots his target, and the Cats are going to get the disc back. That was a huge opportunity for Detroit to extend the lead to 3. But instead, Indianapolis gets the stop. They're going to get the disc back, and they're putting in a new lineup.
I like the timeout call here from Coach Drew Shepard, as this might end up being one of the most pivotal points of this game. 31 seconds and the chance to get a break back, cut the Detroit lead to 1. Look for that O-line to come in that we talked about earlier, the efficient line, but probably looking for a play to be drawn up in the huddle right now. Be interesting to see how the AlleyCats set up. 31 seconds, 34 seconds up on the game scoreboard now. Plenty of time to develop some plays.
So they put 3 seconds back on the clock. It was at 31. AlleyCats put back out there Seth Goodeman, of course, who's been their workhorse. Jack Gall, who's had a couple of big goals. Joey Carey is back out there. That's good to see. He was subbed out for early in this quarter, so he's now back in. He's had a couple of big plays, both on assisting and goals. Things are getting a little chippy between him and Terry Gaither. A lot of mutual respect there, of course. Terry Gaither being a team captain for Detroit, living in Indianapolis. Everybody enjoying the tone of Sweet Caroline right now. What an intense ultimate game this has been as both these teams fight for their first wins of the season. AlleyCats with the disc. Goodeman having to track this one down. He does. He's been Mr. Do-It-All tonight for the Cats. Risky throw, but it ends up in the hands of Close. Another throw nearly dropped, but Ames comes down with it. Now Goodeman tries to go for it in the end zone. He's got it! Seth Goodeman again with another goal with 6 seconds remaining in the third quarter.
And there's Goodeman again, right when you need him for that break late in the game to bring it back within 1. I liked the patience that we saw there from that Cats O-line. Didn't force anything. Worked that clock down to only 6 seconds remaining. And now Detroit with a small opportunity to answer here.
Drew Shepard out there on the field trying to make sure that his line is in the right position. Goodeman's got to be exhausted. 7 goals tonight. All kinds of other key plays in the game. going to have probably more than 400 receiving yards when it's all said and done by the end of this evening.
And notable to mention, the AlleyCats are going to receive the disc to start the fourth. So Detroit really needs to extend their lead here.
Kaiden Young able to execute the pull, and it comes down to Jake Felton. 4 seconds. Intercepted. Can the Cats try to tie it before the quarter ends? There's the throw into the end zone. Play on it. Tipped up and scored! The AlleyCats have tied the game at the end of the third quarter. Coming down with it is Ben Close. Mr. Close with an incredible close to the third quarter.
One of the most insane breaks I have ever seen in Ultimate. 6 seconds, you're thinking Detroit has the chance for one throw, but the AlleyCats pick it up and pick it off and get a break with 6 seconds. Ben Close has the crowd hyped up.
And that does it for the third quarter. We'll be back for what should be an exciting conclusion between Detroit and Indianapolis from Indianapolis right after this.
We're Carp Homes. Let us take the pain out of selling your home. We pay cash for your house as is. You don't touch a thing. Leave all repairs and cleanup to us. Homegrown right here in Indy. We're local and reputable, and we care about our city and neighbors. Our team comes to meet with you in person to evaluate your property, resulting in getting you the best possible offer. Call Carp Homes today or visit our website to learn more.
Welcome to Googman House, a locally owned, award-winning, and family-friendly microbrewery and coffee house located just northwest of downtown Indy. With over 20 delicious beers brewed on site, from hazy IPAs and fruited sours to the best-selling Guggenweizen and Hefeweizen and Riverside Hazy IPA. Pick your own flight of beers, order your grub from the cabin kitchen, and enjoy a day in the beer garden. We invite you to experience Googman House. Learn more at GoogmanHouseBrewing.com and follow along on Instagram at Googman House Brewing.
Well, not far from this stadium, we've seen tons of playoff magic from the Indiana Pacers. And I think the Indianapolis AlleyCats are executing some magic of their own, as what a job here the AlleyCats did to end the third quarter. They got a break chance, a Detroit mistake, and it leads to Ben Close coming down with an insane catch as time expired and tied the game at 16. Along with Kelsey Sparks, I'm John Herrick. Thank you to our entire camera crew, led by our technical director, Jordan Shue. It's been great to bring this one to you all night long. And 16 all, Kelsey, going into the fourth quarter. Clearly, the AlleyCats feel great. But if you're Detroit, how do you try to refine your composure?
It's going to be hard to refine composure after a play like that from Ben Close. I don't think I've seen a play like that in Ultimate. I can't believe that the AlleyCats pulled off a break with 6 seconds. So if you're Detroit, you need to go back to the basics of what you were doing prior. Detroit's really been putting on a great game here in Indianapolis. They've capitalized on most of their opportunities to break. They played pretty well on offense. So unfortunately for the Mechanix, they do have to start the fourth quarter on D, so they are going to need a break to win this game.
I know it's been a night where all of our guys, all the players have been hustling around. Big thanks to all of our cameramen, Eric Connect, Eldon Wheeler, Carlos Alarcon the fourth, Mike McManus, great work by them, David Cohn on the graphics, and Wes Wolf on the replay, and Jordan Shue in the truck. Great work to all those guys, keeping up with the action on what's been a crazy night here at Kuntz Stadium as we go into the fourth quarter of this pivotal division matchup in a tie. Joey Carey dumps it off to Jack Havey. The sideline he goes to Chamberlain. Gudeman now again, trying to get space, and he is fouled by Mitchell Savage. So Savage, in his first year with Detroit, right now he had the responsibility of trying to guard the AlleyCats' most productive player. Gudeman end zone, and the AlleyCats retake the lead as Havey comes across to get his first goal of the night and his 4th goal of the season.
Another former Mechanix player there in Jack Havey, just streaking across. Jack is one of the fastest guys on this AlleyCats team. He's difficult to guard.
And stay tuned, folks. After this game, by the way, as we look at the Havey score once again, we will have an interview with one of the players from the team, from either one of the teams, depending on who wins the game afterwards. So we want to be able to talk to the guys and see what's gone through their mind and what's been a crazy night here in the UFA. Both these teams in bad need of a win. Of course, you got to be feeling great if you're the Pittsburgh Thunderbirds. They've gotten wins over both these teams. When the AlleyCats, with the Pittsburgh Steelers, remember, they played the Indianapolis Colts here. The AlleyCats played the Pittsburgh Thunderbirds in a halftime showcase. That was really cool. A lot of Colts fans got involved in that. Now the Mechanix have to try to recapture some of that magic they had in the second quarter and in the early part of the third quarter.
AlleyCats playing really tight D here, trying to apply pressure.
CC looking for the end zone. He might have a man. Now the defense converges, but he scores anyway. Wow, David Cox in traffic, able to leap up and make a tough grab.
Great play there by David Cox. Had 3 Cats defenders closing in on him, but he boxes them out to get his 4th goal of the night. The leading scorer for Detroit this year.
Ryan Wartenberg was the man who looked like he just might get there, but was a step slow. .40 combined turnovers, 20 by each team. Both teams break percentage chances at 6 of 18. D-line conversion slightly in favor of Indianapolis, 50 to 46%. Indianapolis with the Huck conversion rate at 6 out of 9, that's 67%, 44% for Detroit. Remember, Detroit was close to 60% Huck percentage at one point. They've come down in that regard, and the Cats have turned it up and gotten more out of their Huck conversion rate. And we're tied once again in the deciding 4th quarter. Havey comes up with it near the sideline. Close, who had that spectacular grab to end the 3rd quarter, but a miscommunication between he and Havey gives the break opportunity back to the Detroit Mechanix. Cats try to double and give Adam Witten some trouble right off the bat, but Witten was able to get out of that with the help from his teammates.
Huge opportunity here for Detroit to retake the lead late in this game.
A night where nothing has been guaranteed, and Detroit doesn't like the way this was going, and I think Brent Steep saw that, and now he wants to call a timeout and bring in a new lineup.
Good use of a timeout there from Coach Steep, getting his O-line on the field. This could be one of the most pivotal moments in the game, so you want your most efficient line out there on offense. I like this line swap.
I think both coaches have done really a heck of a job. They've got young teams here. They've got new habits they're trying to instill. They're trying to get these guys to understand the value of every possession. And for Detroit, you know, the big theme of their last season and into this season is adhering to the game plan and sticking with it throughout all 4 quarters and not abandoning it. That's being tested right now. It's easy to execute the game plan when you're winning and you're feeling great. It's harder when things are not going your way.
Both teams are going to require quite a bit of discipline to stick to the game plan late in the fourth here. That was one of the words that Coach Steep used with us earlier, that his team needs to be disciplined to stick to that plan.
And for Drew Shepard, it was all about the phrase he kept using, no unforced mistakes. And not every mistake they've made has been an unforced one. Sometimes the Mechanix have just made some great plays. They have 11 blocks tonight as they try to get another huck here. Fight for the disc, and it's won by the AlleyCats. Coming down with it this time, Robbie Davenport in his second year with Indianapolis.
Robbie does a great job reading the disc there for the D, and he's going 1-2 all the way up the field.
But then he got turned away at the last minute. Colin Hill just swiped it out of the air. What an anticipation move that was by Colin Hill, the first-year man for Detroit.
Felton has done a really good job getting out of these double teams thus far tonight. And he does again.
And then Hill turns it up. He plays catch with Cox, and Perdicone's now got it. Looked like there was a man open in the end zone for a moment for Detroit. I don't know if he saw him, though. And there's a foul on the Cats. Looks like that's on close. And the other bad part about that, if you are they moving back?
Looks like the referee gave the signal that it was on the Cats, but
yeah,
it is actually on Detroit,
yeah.
So we're backing it up.
That's a break for the Cats, but he did point in the direction of the AlleyCats. Battle for it, knocked away! Jack Gall, huge knockdown. Now what does Drew Shepard want to do here? He wants to get a new lineup in, okay. Jack Gall, man, I tell you what, scoring a couple of big goals right in the nick of time, and this time he makes a huge play here and gets a lot of high fives from his teammates, and deservedly so.
And here we go, right back to the original lineups we had when we started this point. Second line swap out, and we're back to the Cats O-line. On one of the rather long points of the game, opportunity here to get the hold.
There's some Detroit fans. Oh yeah, they just realized they're on the big screen. So, you know, they're nervous, but then they see they're on TV and they're like, yeah, my evening's better now.
They're still going.
Yep.
AlleyCats really do a fantastic job putting on a great game day experience for the fans, whether they're home or away.
And Detroit's not too far of a drive here. So they've brought several fans, and I will say Detroit has a really good fan base. Both these teams do, because these are two of the original founding members of Ultimate Frisbee that have been around since 2012. Even during that tough 81-game losing streak, Detroit had fans travel all across the country, and that's an untimely mistake there by the Cats. A drop disc gives it back to Detroit. Indianapolis's 22nd turnover. Just cannot keep having these things happen, especially with the game tied. But then they get it right back. That throw was a dangerous one, and I saw Jake Wall get his hand on it.
AlleyCats really needed somebody to step up there and get it back after an unforced turn. Jake Wall does just that. AlleyCats back in the driver's seat.
Wall came in with one block in the first two games. He's got a few in this one. What a nice fake there by Heiser. Trying to throw off the Mechanic defense. Goodeman comes over to get it. We had an incredible finish for the third quarter. What kind of finish will we have for the fourth? Might have a fight for it in the end zone. Won by Chamberlain. And the AlleyCats are back in front, and it's the former Detroit Mechanic who puts them in front.
Long point there, over 2.5 minutes, two different line changes, and the AlleyCats get it done and get the hold, and Carson Chamberlain gets the score against his former team.
That's the third goal of the night for Chamberlain, and that is the first time in the second half that the AlleyCats have had the lead. They trailed 12-11 in the first quarter. That's 12-11 after the first half going into the third. And then they trailed most of the third quarter until they tied it. And now they have the lead, and the AlleyCat fans on this Indy 500 race weekend enjoying the weather, have checkered flags. Seth Goodman, big development here. He is on the sideline right now getting worked on by the trainer. So just trying to make sure that he keeps his legs and hamstrings loose. He's got a brace on his right knee, rolling pull, trying to pin the Mechanix near the sideline. And the Mechanix have had to work their way out of a double team a lot tonight in these situations, and it's been Felton just about every time. Felton decides to go backwards with it. Now time is working against Detroit since they are behind. Cubitt makes himself available to catch the pass from Hill. Working to try to get free. Hill's got it. Low throw, but dug out by Cox. They're very close to losing it. Now the pressure comes up on him. And a whistle. What do we have? Well, which way is it against? It looks like it's against Detroit because they're starting to back Detroit up as the crowd starts to get back into it. What violation did you see there, Kelsey?
Looks like it was some kind of off the disc foul downfield. Okay. So a Detroit player trying to get open. And that takes Detroit out of the red zone and now back past half. Cats doing a lot of double teaming on this point.
Hill catching a low throw. There's that double yet again. Cubitt's made a lot of clutch throws from that spot on the field. Hill fakes. Might have had a man open for a second. Now he tries to get open here, but good defense forcing the denial. Perdicone looking for help. Perdicone lobs it. CC's got it, but he's not in the end zone yet. Low throw, and he doesn't get there. CC thought he had the score, but Jake Felton couldn't get it out, and the Cats have it back. Down the field, Samuel Ingham's trying to get it. He's battling for it, and he comes up with it. And I think we might have a foul, but on who? Detroit seems to think it's going against the Cats, and it might be.
I gotta be honest, it looked to me like Ingham was the one being held downfield and just was able to break away to get that disc. I don't think this should be on the Cats here.
That's two guys battling for it, and they're giving it to Detroit. So Detroit not only gets the disc back, they get to march it up past midfield.
I don't like that call, John. It looks like Sam Ingham's arm gets held back, and he simply just shakes the defender loose. But regardless, here we go.
And he was looking for the disc the whole time. Can the Mechanix take advantage of it? I don't think so. Nope. Even if he was going to catch it, he wasn't going to come down in bounds. Felton's slow to get up. Classy move by the Cat that was in the defensive area. He was about ready to tell the trainer, come out and take a look at him if Felton was down, which is a good move. So that was a nice gesture there by Nicholas Betch, who's number 2 in black on your screen. Kaiden Young is who's there now, so it should be break chance for the Cats. It's a matter of trying to figure out where to put the disc. And yep, it's near the sideline because of where it went out. So trapping time here for Detroit. They're down 1. Both teams have had a hard time with turnovers tonight. We have had 46 combined turnovers, 23 by each team. I don't know if I think Detroit was subbing a player out, but if they're subbing a player off, then Indianapolis gets to sub a player out. So that's now why the clock has stopped.
Looks like Felton was pretty shaken up after that play. Okay, hoping he's all right.
Okay, so they had to, since they were making a substitution timeout, they had to put time back on the clock to 4:40. So There we go. Got all that reset. Contact made, but on who? And they call that against Jason Kemp. They say he leaned in and initiated it.
Game starting to get really physical late in the fourth here. Quite a few calls as of late.
Now, the good news for the AlleyCats, they keep the disc, but they had to be backed up near the end zone. They've already gotten a Callahan against Detroit. They don't want to get one themselves. Low throw and dug out. Pappas was sliding and he almost made the play, but could not.
Looks like he tripped and got extremely frustrated with himself there.
Goodeman trying to play the defense of his life here. I wasn't sure if that pass was going to get to the other side, but it did.
Couple long marathon points late in the fourth here.
Goodeman tries to get the stop there, but Perticone takes it away. Detroit with a chance to tie. Perticone looking around. What do we have?
Looks like a collision downfield, foul called on Detroit.
It's the second call we've had away from the disc. That's very unusual, but again, when the game gets this close and you got a rivalry like these two have, there's bound to be stuff like this happen. Perticone to the other side. Knocked away! Big AlleyCat defensive play again, and I think Kaiden Young may have paid the price here. He needs a moment. This game's been taken on a physical nature, and one of Kaiden Young's teammates telling him, hey, that was a heck of a job by you.
Joe Cubitt down for Detroit as well. Both guys laying it all on the line to try to save that possession. And it's good to see Joe walk off.
As well as Young. Yeah, Cubitt is not somebody that Detroit could afford to lose. Cubitt has kept them in the game with a lot of his throws tonight. It's been a long time since we have seen a score. The last man to get in the end zone was several minutes ago. Carson Chamberlain did it. But a whistle before Goodeman could throw it, and I'm not sure what that's about. Did he just initiate it before the... Okay, we had an injured player that was still on the field that hadn't gone off yet.
These guys get a second to catch their breath. Not a bad thing after such a long point.
Now Goodeman's able to get rid of it. To Betch. And the Cats still cannot execute.
Second drop by Pappas on this point. He's going to be playing the defense of his life, trying to get this one back.
And it was near this area of the field not long ago where the Cats had a Callahan. Mechanix trying to get down the field quickly. Knocked away, though. That disc hung up in the air a little bit too long. That gave Jack Havey enough time to get down there. We just keep having break chance after break chance exchanging here. Pappas almost dropped another one.
Definitely in his own head right now. Needs to reset. And we have another call.
Now, if they're going to call anything, it would have to be against Detroit, because I definitely saw contact there. One of their players grabbed an AlleyCat. Either that or an injury. Look at everybody. I mean, the Detroit players especially, they're hunched over, hands on their knees. Everybody's exhausted because there's been so much running around due to the lack of scoring in this fourth quarter.
Looks like we have a timeout there, and it might be just to give everybody a break.
As in like a timeout called by the officials or a timeout called by one of the teams?
At first, I thought there was a foul call, but the way everybody was moving around, then it looked like a timeout from the Cats. But with all this discussion, we might have to wait on the official word.
Yeah, I think this is... I think this is just a generic timeout for both teams.
All right, looks like the AlleyCats will get to pick it up, and Michael Ames is going to be the one with the disc.
I will say it's 68 degrees now. It was 72 when we had the first pull, so I do wonder a little bit about, I'm not saying there's any heat to be concerned about necessarily, but when you're running around as much as these guys have in late May weather, that can be a factor. Less than 2 minutes to go. And Cats by 1. Gall comes up to get it. Waits for his defense to get back, but now the stall count coming up. Goodeman able to get it. And Goodeman's fouled. And he knows it. So good job by David Cox. He fouled Goodeman. He knew he did. And the two of them shake hands. So now the Cats have it on the precipice of the goal. Can they get it across, though? Sometimes this isn't as easy as you think, even though you're that close. Goodeman has to go back to the other side. To Ames. And that one by Goodeman nearly intercepted, but he comes up with it, and he's fouled again. So now he gets to get even closer to the goal.
This game getting extremely physical. Seth Goodeman did a great job of making the play there.
And then he finally gets it across to Jake Wall. So for the first time in almost 8 minutes, we have a score, and it's Jake Wall getting it done.
AlleyCats timely break there to go up 2. Detroit is really gonna have to make some things happen in this last minute and 40 seconds if they want a shot at this. And folks, there have only been 4 scores in this fourth quarter.
Right.
To put that in perspective, in quarter number 2, we had 15. So long marathon points, absolutely gassing both teams. We're gonna see what roster is the deepest and who has the most legs left to close this one out.
A lot of former AlleyCats in the house tonight. Nick Hutton, Levi Jacobs, Rick Gross. Of course, now Travis Carpenter, part of AlleyCat ownership. Detroit fans feeling excited that they had a chance to get a win here, but now they're down by 2 after leading 16-13. And there's the Detroit players trying to fire each other up on the sideline. They don't believe it's over yet. But when you're down this much, and you need to get the full length of the field, you're going to have to score quickly, maybe get a break chance out of it, and then get back down the field again. But here's the thing, we have seen that play out at times tonight. That one goes through his hands. Adam Witten couldn't quite get there, and since he bobbled it or couldn't, he has to come up and take it all the way back, but he's near it. He's basically in his own end zone. Indianapolis already has one Callahan. Could they get a second? No, but they get an interception out of it. Jason Kemp has it on the steal to Dines. Dines back to Kemp. He's across and in for the AlleyCat goal.
Bookends for Jason Kemp with the timely interception there, and that might be the final nail in the coffin for Detroit.
Cat fans at a fever pitch right now, loving this at Coot Stadium. They are now back on top by 3. After trailing by 3, they are on a 7-1 run. When it was 16-13, it did not look good. David Cox had scored a goal in the third quarter, put the Cats back on their heels, but then Goodeman with 2 goals, and then Ben Close with that huge goal at the end of the third quarter. That has turned everything around, and then the AlleyCats have just had everything go their way in the fourth quarter. Even when it looked like they had turned it over and they were going to get scored on, they would get it right back. And here we are, 20-17, the AlleyCats with the lead, and they just have to hold the Mechanix for 106. They go with the rolling pole, want to trap the Mechanix near the sideline. And as they do that, the clock is running, so the Mechanix have got to hurry here. They're taking way too long to get up the field. Okay. I think it's inside, with it's inside 2 minutes, they have to stop the clock. And they have asked that the clock be reset to 1:02. The only score in this fourth quarter for Detroit was David Cox. AlleyCats are going to have to figure out a way to close this game out and then build on it for the next one.
Joe Cubitt going for it all with David Cox. He's got it.
So Cox with his second goal now of the fourth quarter. That's exactly what you didn't want to have happen if you're Indianapolis, because the Mechanix scored and they only took 6 seconds off the clock.
Mechanix gonna need a couple more just like that to get this game back to tied up and force overtime. Good forward trajectory there by Detroit. And the AlleyCats gonna have to stall on this possession. Definitely don't force anything, just play some small ball possession and eat up the last 54 seconds of this one.
AlleyCats trying to continue to have some successful seasons too. They've only had 2 sub-500 seasons in their history. Already at 0-2 on the year, desperately trying to avoid an 0-3 start. 54 seconds away from doing so. As the pole goes out, Cats will get it.
And again, the Mechanix have not dethroned the AlleyCats since June 17th in 2012, the first year of the UFA, back then known as the AUDL.
This game is far from over, though. And the AlleyCats have committed far too many turnovers. Now the important thing is not letting the stall count get too high and hold on to the disc.
Mechanix need to play tighter defense on the reset handlers, or the AlleyCats can just walk away with this one.
That's what they're trying to do. Wall to Havey. Havey with the nice fake. Havey could get it back here, and he does! And Havey gets it in with 24 seconds to go. Jack Havey makes it 21-18, his second goal of the fourth quarter, and it is a critical one at that.
A critical goal against his former team. Jack Havey showing up when it matters most. All smiles for the AlleyCats, as that might have been the final nail in the coffin for this one.
And as you can see there too, he has a lot of receiving yards tonight, 230, 164 throwing yards. Goodman has been the lead man for Indianapolis with 3 assists, 7 goals, 2 blocks, 466 receiving yards tonight.
Detroit was never able to find an answer for Seth Gudeman.
Nope. They had him quieted for a while, but then he got that Callahan in the third quarter. Remember, it was 16-13, and then he got a Callahan to make it 16-14. Mechanix running out of time with 13 seconds to go. Now we're down to 10. Cubitt's got it with 6. Perticone, 3, 2, 1, time runs out, game is over, and the Indianapolis AlleyCats get their first win of the season over one of their biggest rivals and the Detroit Mechanix at Coot Stadium, 21-18 in Kelsey, what was a very hard-fought battle.
It absolutely was, John, and you know, not the prettiest battle either. High turnover game, 28 for Detroit, 26 for Indianapolis, but Indianapolis had the grit to stick with it, find their offensive identity, and get it done.
When we come back, we'll try to talk to an AlleyCat player, most likely Seth Goodeman, and we'll have that for you when we come back to Indianapolis in a moment.
What you said, cause you on a fight night. Yeah, we going quick, moving like a time night. Yeah, I got a lot of enemies that try to take control of me. So I put it in the past so they won't notice me.
Mechanix a step downfield, and he'll go for the assist as well. From one layout to another, the AlleyCats find a way to get it done.
High-powered point there.
Going for Havey. Havey's able to get there! On Betch, dives, and he got it! Oh my goodness, Nicholas Betch.
What you said, cause you on a fight night. Yeah, we going quick, moving like a time night. Yeah, I got a lot of enemies that try to take control of me. So I put it in the past so they won't notice me.
And he'll go for the assist as well. Goodeman from one layout to another.
The Indianapolis AlleyCats find a way to eke out a hard-fought victory here against the Detroit Mechanix. A battle of two teams that came into tonight winless, but it was the Mechanix on the losing side. The AlleyCats get it done, 21-18. Back with Kelsey Sparks, I'm John Herrick with you up in the booth here at Coon Stadium. And Kelsey, wow, I mean, it looked really bad there for Indianapolis in that second half. Down 16-13. Detroit's leaving the field dejected now, but they gave the Cats all they could handle here.
We did. We had such a back and forth game here at Coon Stadium in Indianapolis. It looked like Detroit was going to knock off the AlleyCats for the first time since 2012, but the AlleyCats find a way to get it done. And we have to talk about Seth Goodeman.
Yeah, I mean, when Seth Goodeman, when the team was in trouble, Seth Goodeman was the guy that kept them in it. He had 7 goals tonight. He had 3 assists. He made so many key plays, but I would argue that the biggest play he made was the Callahan that he got to make it 16-14. That gave the AlleyCats the energy that they needed when they were down by 3.
Callahans are really rare opportunities in Ultimate Frisbee, and when Seth Goodeman got that one on Detroit, it really lit the fire for his teammates on the AlleyCats. I think that was one of the big turning points in this one.
He's going to basically try to make sure this team doesn't lose again. He just has that competitive drive about him. So if you are the AlleyCats now, how do you take what you did in the second half and in particularly the fourth quarter and build on it for your upcoming games?
The AlleyCats have been needing to find an offensive identity, and in the fourth quarter they were finally able to string some of that together. So for the AlleyCats, continue to work on that offensive identity. Don't let any unforced errors happen and play your game.
She is Kelsey Sparks. I'm John Herrick. Thank you so much for being with us at Coon Stadium tonight. The Indianapolis AlleyCats eke out the win, 21-18 over Detroit. And it has been a pleasure to bring you ultimate action from the UFA in Indianapolis at Coon Stadium. Have a great weekend, everybody.